All right. Nikki, bringing some music to the show, adding that production value.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we are coming at you live on Twitch.
We'll do it live.
We'll do it live.
Hey, all you cool cats and kittens.
All right, welcome in to another episode of the Fantasy Addicts Fantasy Football Podcast.
Indeed. Welcome in.
I am your host, Mike, with co-host Nikki B.
That's me.
All right, and today we are going to be running down the top 20 wide receivers on expert consensus rankings from Fantasy Pros.
Indeed.
So we'll give you our hot takes on all the guys that we're going through here, all the information you want to find out.
Oh, hot.
So hot.
They're so hot.
So hot.
All right, so we'll just jump right in there, and after we get done with these, I'll give you. I did my little bit of diving into the numbers on CJ Uzomah, tight end extraordinaire.
Goodness, you and the Uzomah.
People have been asking me for it. They said I got to hear those
Who
numbers.
are these people?
The people.
I don't believe it.
All the people.
No,
they
nobody's
want
asking.
it. They need it. Yep, hit it up in the chats.
I don't even think the Bengals know he's
by
on the
one
roster.
other Uzomah fan.
No other Uzomah fans.
UZOMAH. All right, when you're looking it up.
Not a thing.
I'll tell you about him if you stick around till the end. And also, we'll
That's a
cover,
tight end. That's not even a wide receiver.
That is a tight end, but again, once you have all those wide receivers, you're gonna need a
want
tight
some
end.
tight-
You're gonna know the receivers.
I don't like it.
And say, now, who do I plug in at tight end? CJ Uzomah, he'll be there for you. I promise he'll be there.
If you want to sign up for more 2020 disappointment, sign
The
up for CJ
greatest
Uzomah.
ability is availability, and Uzomah will be
Is available part-time.
in 99,
He's still available part-time.
99.9% of your leagues, unless you're playing with me, because I'm scooping him
Barry's
up.
got the popcorn ready.
All right.
Ooh.
Happy to have you, Barry. Welcome back.
Barry, you ready to learn about some wide receivers?
He says, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we'll start at the top, work our way down. So
The most overrated wide receiver in the
him.
league.
Oh, it's a hot take.
Is it?
Michael Thomas of the New Orleans Saints. Tell us. I'll let you drop that fire, drop the hate. So let's see what
Obviously,
you got.
great fantasy season last year. Incredible catch percentage. I get it. I understand it. But let's hold up here. He's had seasons past where he just disappears for games. I look for consistency. Michael Thomas just disappears for 8 games a season. If you look back, he has probably 8 wide receiver or 2 worst weeks amongst his like 30 to 40 point weeks as well. He's the ultimate boom bust wide receiver in the league.
I feel shocked.
I'll disagree. He's going at number 1 all over the place.
I get it. I get
like 100 points more than the next best wide receiver.
I understand.
So we are, just for point of clarification, we are doing a half point PPR expert consensus rankings. Man, I think that I'm trying to. So some people are numbers guys, some people are narrative guys. I like the narrative, and again, he's one of those. He just was very, very good last year. Had a lot of points. Again,
right.
He's a kind of wide receiver that if you have him, if he vanishes for a game here and there, I'll forgive him. Because he wins you so many other weeks. He's still got Drew Brees. Drew Brees is getting a little bit older, getting up there in age.
We've been saying that
people
every
are
year
waiting for the cliff.
5 seasons now.
Yeah, just because a guy hasn't fallen off the cliff when people thought he would for past 5 seasons doesn't mean that there's never going to be a cliff. He's in that boat with a couple of the older quarterbacks this year where they're going later if you do some mock drafts because people are like, does he still have it?
Right. I understand. I understand he had a great year last year. He still scares me a little bit. But, again, I don't think you have a pure wide receiver prospect to go overall besides Michael Thomas this season. I mean, all the numbers would statistically say he's going to be the best wide receiver. But
yeah, and Drew missed time last year with an injury, and Teddy Bridgewater still kept him being pretty relevant. So I think Michael Thomas, if you got him, here's my argument against him. You got to take him as that first guy off the board.
Right.
You've got to take him very high. You've got to take him over a stud workhorse running back. And I think that there are maybe those weeks where he might disappear more than some of those running backs. Like Zeke's not going to disappear. Christian McCaffrey without an injury is not going to disappear. Again, I think it's rare, and even those games that he disappears is like better than 80% of the other guys. But I also find myself not taking him in a lot of drafts. If I have to pick between him and Devontae Adams, they're both kind of in the same boat where it's like they're the number one guy. They're definitely the guy. They've got a pretty good aging quarterback who's maybe in decline a little bit. but they should get all the volume in the world. They should
Right,
just have a million balls thrown to them.
First reads by their quarterback.
Yeah,
I mean, they look that way.
And their
first.
second reads, now the Saints have added Emmanuel Sanders, who is a good wide receiver who's also up there in age, but he will probably demand some targets.
Be productive.
You think that Michael Thomas will regress just because, again, his numbers were so good.
He can't have the same
Emmanuel
catch
Sanders
percentage.
comes in.
He just can't.
They did draft a tight end who they might get him involved, but
Right.
you know, they don't throw it to the tight end a lot now that since Jimmy Graham.
No.
So we'll see what happens. But again, I think you will still be very good. I think he'll be a guy that you play every week, you know, in and out, and are probably getting numbers that are helping your team win. But yeah, my thought on him was I would take a lot of the running backs before I would take him where he's going in the first round.
No, yeah, I'm in agreement there. All right, who's next?
So next we are moving
I
down.
feel shocked.
Yep. Still can't believe you just so cold.
I don't think it's so hot. Barry thinks AJ Green. I'm with
Well,
Barry. AJ Green first overall.
AJ Green,
Just do it.
Has he returned to practice? I did not see that yet today. Still nursing those hammies, just
Veteran
rubbing
day
those
off.
ankles.
Veteran day off.
He's
No
got
big deal.
Just a
He's
lot of things
fine.
going on. He's just
He's
counting his toes,
fine.
making sure they're all still there, didn't fall off on the walk.
I think he just starts every day like that.
Practice. A lot of injuries in practice.
He just plays
today.
little piggy. There's
People
so many
are getting
injuries right
banged
now.
up. People are getting banged up.
Go figure. They couldn't do anything.
All right. Next up on the list, Devontae Adams of the Green Bay Packers. Oh, man. Devontae, again, I was real high on him at the start. He's got quarterback Aaron Rodgers, who, again, they hate. They want to get rid of, so Love could come in halfway through the season.
You done messed up, Aaron.
Oh man.
Yeah, I think that, again, we kind of talked about him. He's far and away the best choice, and he's the only guy that Aaron's going to want to throw it to.
Somehow he goes every year almost underrated. You know, he's always looked at as, you know, the fourth or fifth best wide receiver, but he's got to be top 2, top 3.
So, also, he's got a little bit of injury history. I was listening to another podcast where they were just talking about the number of games he's missed, and one of the reasons that I don't think people felt it as much last year is because when he missed was kind of that midseason. A lot of people were able to find a cover, get through those games, and then he was there for you in the playoffs and showed out.
Right.
So,
well, and Green Bay didn't have any other wide receivers, so in the meantime, you could play somebody to get by.
Yeah, I think that I worry about his injury history a little bit, and again, at this point, when I was at kind of that 11th, 12th pick, I would sometimes take a shot on him if you wanted to go that zero running back. I did do some drafts where I ended up with like him, Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen. And you look at your wide receivers and you feel like, okay.
You see the names, you're like, I'm pretty good at that.
Yeah, they're all like the number one on their team.
Right.
So if you want to go that route, I get it. And I think there might be some teams where that works out for you. But yeah, I think also just over the past few years that I've been playing, I feel like the narrative shifted where it was like, oh, running backs always get hurt. Like wide receivers also get hurt.
Oh, yeah.
And again, the biggest predictor of a new injury is past injury. All right, so Barry says no. He's the most overrated wide receiver.
I think he's talking about AJ Green,
Okay.
which now I completely disagree. AJ is.
But he follows it with
man.
Green Bay's wide receivers will be nauseating this year. I think so too, except for Devontae Adams. And again,
Right, that's why I'm still taking him.
so a little bit of worry is can just one guy with the next best option being what Marquez Valdez-Scantling or Alan Lazard, can he, will they just put their best guys on him? Will they double cover him? Will he be able to get open? I
I don't
think
think it matters.
Michael Thomas is a great example of how that can be done, especially if you got a good quarterback. And Aaron Rodgers is the worst.
You done messed up, Aaron.
But he's a good quarterback.
He is good.
Only a fool would disagree.
Yeah.
And hopefully he falls off the cliff just before all the other guys.
Or all at the same time. I'm good with that.
All right, so we'll move on. But again, Devontae Adams, again, he should get volume. He could end up being this year's Michael Thomas.
I like Devontae.
All right, we'll see.
You want Devontae or the
I don't
seventh best running back?
I don't think I'm going to end up with Devontae anywhere.
You want Mixon or Devontae?
I don't like Mixon, but I'd still,
Want
I'd rather
Derrick
have
Henry or
like Miles
Devontae?
Sanders or like Kenyon Drake before today when he popped up with an injury wearing a walking boot.
Yeah, I'd probably take.
We'll
I'd
talk
probably
about
take
that at
Adams
the end if
before
you haven't
that.
heard about it. Again, if I could load up on those guys, I feel good about it. So the next guy I also like, not as a human, but as a football player, Tyreek Hill. So
Very fast.
Again, my dynasty team, my lovely quarterback, just sitting there, just looking great every time I look at my lineup. Patrick Mahomes. he likes to sling the ball. He's
He does.
accurate. He's just got a head for the game. So, Patty, if you want to throw it to Tyreek just all day, every day, no problem. Just keep it going.
Tyreek's got some injury issues as well, and he has some disappearance issues.
Tyreek Hill, a touchdown for you. Oh, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, would you like me to throw a little screen to you for a touchdown?
Okay, but you got 3 issues
Nicole
here.
Hardman. Oh, are you still on the team? Oh, touchdown for you. Oh, thanks, Pat.
You have off-field issues and concerns with Tyreek Hill at all times, I think. You have injury history because he misses probably 2 games a year with nagging stuff.
I think I did see him pop up as one of kind of the small injuries. Nothing that was a major concern. I think he was just like tender hamstring, I believe is what it was.
But he's good enough to score on almost any play, but he kind of needs to keep his value because he doesn't get 15 targets a game.
He's the best to get alive.
So fast.
He gets 6 to 8 targets a game, and he takes like 2 of them to the house usually.
Yeah, I think that he's a guy that there's some risk. All of them, there's a little bit of risk.
Right.
More risk than the other 2 or less, you think? Like,
I think more risk, but more upside.
okay.
I think more week-to-week upside. He's like the same as Michael Thomas, I think. Just a little bit. He'll have a couple more bigger weeks, but he'll disappear.
Yeah. And just having Mahomes, Tyreek Hill's a guy I've tried to get in Dynasty.
Mahomes
It's just
is
the
solid.
price is high, but to have
Yep.
that stack, if you can get a stack, if you're looking for a quarterback receiver
That's the
stack,
one.
that's going to be a good one.
I mean, 40-yard touchdown. They both score the touchdown points. I mean, you can get 20 points real quick.
Yep. Just throw one to
Really
Travis.
quick.
Travis, you want one? All right. Yep. I'm just giving them out.
Hey, Barry, if you're still here, can you do me a favor? Can you unfollow and then follow again? And I want to see if a notification pops up.
See if we can get 38 follows from Barry.
I don't think it's going to happen. I don't even know if he's still here.
That's not how any of this works.
3 viewers in this bad boy.
All right. That's all right. They're trickling in. They're coming in.
Are they?
Yep. They already know about these guys. They're waiting for those kind of middle round guys. They want to hear about.
Oh, Pocket pulls around.
All right.
Hey, Pocket. How are
Welcome back. Happy to have you.
Come hang out.
All right. Next one up is the number 4 wide receiver, Julio Jones of the Atlanta Falcons.
Julio Jones.
Julio Jones.
I like the Julio.
All right, you like Julio. Let's hear your take on it. Just
I think Pocket probably likes Julio too.
cheers.
Let me go with the negatives or the positives.
Let's start negative.
Negative, he's old as dirt. He has like DeAndre Hopkins itis where he's got some type of ankle or foot or hamstring or, he's like AJ Green, but he still plays every game, if that makes sense. But he has learned how to score touchdowns over the past 2 seasons.
31, younger than me.
Yeah, but I mean, for football, he's old.
And
He's
I'm
old.
in my prime.
Again, he is still in the top 15% of
Yeah,
wide
again,
receivers by age.
to just say his name in the same breath as AJ Green is blasphemous. But Julio,
It wouldn't have been
Julio actually
2
plays through
seasons
some
ago.
injuries. Julio's got
Oh
some
my
toughness.
goodness.
Julio does get banged up, but he does play and he still produces.
Yeah, and it's a Matt Ryan good year.
My only argument against Julio is that I really am a Calvin Ridley fan. I think Calvin's going to bust out this year, take away a little bit from Julio. But their team, let's see, I was looking at just the pass attempts. Atlanta had the most pass attempts last year. Their running back situation.
Right.
So let's play devil's advocate, and Todd Gurley goes down. And
Right.
are they ever running the ball again? Is it
Probably.
Do they just-
They'll just sign Freeman then.
they just become like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers of last year with a quarterback who maybe doesn't turn it over quite as much?
Again, Pocket Pull says Ridley's in better ADP value, which
Agree.
I'm not a huge Ridley believer personally. I know
Oh, it's
you
happening.
are. I think he's going to be a lifelong wide receiver too. He's going to be a lifelong Robert Woods, which is still valuable. That's still top 18.
We're going to talk about him if we get to these top 20. But so here's the path for both of them to be great. Julio gets 1 million receptions, has more receptions, finishes with, over 1,000 yards. Calvin Ridley has less receptions, still around that 1,000-yard mark, and just gets more touchdowns. And then they can both be, in that high level.
Well, and I think that's why it worked out so well. What was it, 3 seasons ago or 2 seasons ago? Ridley's first year. Julio wasn't scoring touchdowns, and Ridley was. Julio was getting the yardage and the receptions and everything, but he couldn't score. And then Ridley was getting all the scores and only 3 or 4 targets a game.
I see a lot of parallels to Tampa Bay last year. I think, if you would have said before the start of the year that Chris Godwin was going to outperform Mike Evans, And people would not have believed that. They would have been like,
I
no,
think the hype got
Evans
out of
is the
hand,
guy. He
but-
always has 1,000 yards. He's
Right.
Again, it's not the exact same, but it's comparable. Julio always puts up 1,000 yards, really consistent, good receiver. But then you get the new guy coming on, and again, they're gonna they have the same situation. They don't have a great running back situation. They have real high pass attempts.
Well, and their defense is pretty suspect. So
So they're
think they're gonna have
hopefully
to
going to be
score.
playing from behind.
I'm buying
It's
into
a
the
good year
Falcons
for Matt
pieces,
Ryan.
except for Ridley. I guess
Except
I shouldn't
for
say it. I shouldn't say it. I just don't believe Ridley's got the
Okay.
top
He's
12
no Godwin,
stuff.
you don't think?
I don't think he's got
Well,
one.
speaking of Chris Godwin, number 5, Chris Godwin of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I am never taking
with-
Godwin at 5. I mean, come on.
If Jameis was there, do you feel?
If Jameis is there, I consider it.
Okay, that's kind of the same as I feel. I think
consider
that. I think Brady, still got it. I think he's got enough juice. He's enough, just a savvy veteran. His health seems good. He seems
Right.
in shape. All the reports, everything I've seen, I've watched some of the tape from them doing training camp. He's putting it on the money.
I just don't know who has the balls to take Chris Godwin
Somebody's gonna do
at
it.
that spot. I just don't get it.
I see the guys who had Godwin who won them leagues last year, like trying to get him again this year.
I bet Godwin might be the biggest steal price-wise in our auction draft.
So Pocket Pool's take is that Tampa Bay's wide receivers are too risky at their average draft position, that Brady will pick his favorite, and that will be the guy.
I think that kind of leads into what we're both saying, don't you?
I personally feel that part of why he had like those favorites in New England is because he didn't have the wealth
choice.
of options that he has now. I think that Brady's got good vision, so he's going to find the open
Right.
guy. And if there's only one guy that's getting open, but both guys have the potential, like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, as well as, I hate to say, O.J. Howard could be a guy who plays football.
I'm tempted
with
to
Tom.
just stop the stream right here.
Gronk just came in to tell OJ, "Oh, here's the things you were doing wrong last year, and now you're the next Gronk with Tom Brady." I don't call for that. I don't think that's going to happen.
we're losing credibility the more we talk about OJ.
4
Howard.
people unfollow.
Oh my goodness, everybody's just gone.
But OJ Howard is a guy to watch. But again, I think that it'll be. I don't think that Brady will be great. I don't think OJ will be great. I don't think Gronk will be great. I think that they'll all get used. They'll all have a touchdown
Okay,
here and there.
so
They'll be good for the team, good for football, good for Brady, but not good for a tight end on that
what's
team being fantasy
Godwin's
relevant.
what's Godwin's ceiling this season?
Godwin's ceiling, I would put lower than last season. I think he could finish, picking like maybe 12, 13. Would you rather have Chris Godwin or Amari Cooper?
I'd probably rather have Cooper.
All right, Cooper is actually going like 7 or 8 spots behind Chris Godwin. So that's
Right.
an interesting take on it.
I don't feel great about either of them, to be honest, but I definitely don't want Godwin at that price.
Oh, now again, last episode the Pocket was watching. He said
Yeah,
that, he was
Pocket's-
saying everything that Nick thought. Now he's on my
Pocket's
side.
getting too
Ronald
spicy.
Jones, dynasty running back. I never gave up on
He was
him.
almost cut. I
It's
mean,
kinda-
come on.
Oh, I tried to trade him. Nobody wanted him.
Nobody wants him.
And now it's happening. The
Oh,
breakout
my
is real.
goodness.
Tom, he's been talking to him. I heard he was catching 100 passes a day. Still had like 2 passes in their last practice that he dropped. But
I don't know how we come for full circle where Ronald Jones is like a value purchase. Like,
remind me of the rookie. Is it Kenjan? Starts with a K. He was the rookie that Tampa Bay took. He's a running back.
and then they cut him, and then
No, they didn't
Oh.
cut him. He went in our dynasty draft.
I know what you're talking about.
Keyshawn Vaughn.
Keyshawn Vaughn.
Okay, so Keyshawn Vaughn, he was a guy that when we were doing our rookie draft in Dynasty, was going fairly high. He was high on a lot of rankings. I was never a fan. My pre NFL draft research, he was a name that wasn't coming up when they were talking about running backs with talent. Sounds like he was just a guy. Came in, and all reports have sounded like he is underwhelmed, not impressed. And that's why Rojo's still continuing to pick up some hype, is that I don't think that he's showed out in practice. So
And we always, he'd caution that you can't believe everything you hear out of camp, but usually you can believe the
bad
negative stuff.
yeah,
It's
I
like the
completely
Dante
agree.
Pettis treatment from, last season.
Well, it was also kind of how they were talking about Rojo probably
Yeah,
the
that's
last
true.
couple of years.
That's
but
true.
again, he's putting the work. It sounds like, all reports are that like he's coming in shape. He's working on stuff. Like he's taking all the things that
Yeah.
Brady's given him. And I don't know. Give me your take. Like, do you feel like Brady's a guy he's been around enough, he's old enough that he kind of like would respect the guys that are trying to do what he's saying and like give them a more opportunity? Or do you think he's just throwing it to whoever's open, the
I
best
think
guy?
he's just
Might be in the back of his head.
heading to the locker room, cracking open a beer, and just
Mr. Brady,
riding off
Mr.
into the
Brady?
sunset. I think he's just.
Do you have any pointers on
I think he's just
receiving out of the
gonna-
backfield?
He's not going to take any hits. He's just going to go out there and just throw the ball around, have some fun, try and score some points, and play around with his buddy Gronk. I think that's all that's going to happen.
I think he's got,
I think as a whole they're going to be underwhelming, and
my narrative is that he wants to prove that he can do it without Belichick. He comes out hungry. And again, I think Tom Brady likes playing football. Like,
Right.
you can't have a career like he's had where you don't actually enjoy it.
and Pocket Pool said wide receivers, but I'm going to go with the entire Tampa Bay team. I think all of them you're going to have to overpay for what you could get, value-wise elsewhere.
If the first two games go, so let's just even say the first game. I believe they play the New Orleans Saints, who have a strong defense.
Right.
If that game goes poorly, are you buying pieces?
I don't think so.
Okay, you're not trying to make
It's more just proof of the hypothesis that they're not going to be.
I think if
fantasy
you can
studs.
get people scared and that first game goes poorly, you can say Brady doesn't have it. Like, oh, he's washed. It's not going to work. And maybe that's a narrative you get somebody believing in to steal one of those pieces.
Maybe for like dynasty or keeper, if you're trying to get them for long term, maybe. But that's not even really a system I want long term, because how long does Brady have? How long does Gronk have? I don't know. They can't pay Godwin and Evans. There's just a lot of things I don't like.
All right.
Who's
Let's
next?
see. So next we have a guy.
Barry.
Traded
Hold
away.
hold
right,
the
we gotta
phone.
jump back
Hold
to the
the phone.
comments.
I feel like hot take is OJ Howard will be a top 3 tight end. Okay, we need a bet. We need a bet here. What's the wager here, Barry?
I don't know if Barry's gonna put his money.
I'll take this
where his
action.
comment is.
I'll take this action. How many fishing trips? See, Pocket Pool gets it. How can you even say that?
That is a bold statement.
I don't know. I don't even know if he'll be a top 13 tight end.
Is it impossible though?
Yes.
I'm gonna say there's a 2% chance. There's a world in which that happens. Let's
Evans,
say it's all right.
Godwin, Gronk.
It could be
How?
a very high-powered offense.
Our tight end's just gonna be
Can
that
find
bad.
the tight end in the end zone.
Haters gonna hate.
Gronk
think
coaches him
everybody's
up.
gonna
Then
hate on
Gronk
that.
gets hurt in the first game against the Saints. OJ Howard comes
Okay.
in. Now is the time. He breaks out.
Okay, I think if he's the only tight end on the roster and he's healthy all 16 games, he's still not a top 3 tight end.
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative.
That's how I felt when Barry said that. Like, wait, a top 3 in the NFL?
No, it can't
All right.
be.
I think OJ Howard, dart throw at the end of your league if you're
He's barely gonna be top 3 on his team.
You're trying to back up a tight end. If you got like Hunter Henry, somebody that gets hurt over and over again. If you do take a chance on
Did you
Gronk,
notice
who could get hurt.
OJ Howard catches very few touchdowns that are like where he catches them in the end zone? He usually just has to run for him because I don't think he can get open. I don't think he cares. They just throw it to Cameron Brate and he scores them all.
They do throw it to Cameron Brate.
Yeah.
Again, I watched it. I was hurt by OJ.
I don't know.
Much like a lot of people back before the white
Barry,
Bronco.
I want you in my league again so I can sell you some OJ Howard shares that I don't own.
You got to take your shots.
You play to win the game.
Oh my God. Shoot your shot, I guess.
All right. So next, we're talking about a guy that you traded away in Dynasty.
I
and
did.
that is DeAndre Hopkins.
I didn't trade him away in Dynasty. I still have him.
Is that correct?
Yeah. I didn't trade him. He's on the old roster.
That can't be right.
Oh,
I
it's
swear
100%.
you traded away Hopkins. You still have Hopkins?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, shock! I feel shocked.
That's how good my team is going to be.
he goes to
I still have
Arizona.
Hopkins.
You can't like him as much in Arizona as he did in Houston. That's what I feel. But he is going later than he did in the previous draft last year. I think he was like the 3rd wide receiver off the board, and now he is going at number 6 behind Chris Godwin's, which was to me like that's where like okay now people are just getting crazy.
I'd like Hopkins more still. I think there's
More this year than last year.
I think there's a 70% chance Hopkins is the same exact fantasy output as last season. I don't think that's that hot. Why is that hot?
I think that I don't see that happening. I think that they're going to throw it. I think they're going to spread the ball around more in Arizona.
I disagree.
I don't think he's going to get the same volume that he got.
I think, but did he really get that much volume there?
He got a lot of volume.
I know, but he got Watson got sacked so much, the offensive line broke down. He didn't even have time for Hopkins to get open. Like, I think there'll be better opportunity here. I think it may take a few weeks to get it worked out, but I think Hopkins can be real solid.
Again, question marks. I think.
See, Barry says Hopkins has the best. I agree. I think it's going to be Murray looking.
You count out Jarvis Landry? Come on now. My man, my guy.
We're talking about top wide receivers here.
Hey,
not
if we're talking hands,
not
though.
scrub.
No, it's Larry Fitzgerald still. Till Larry Fitzgerald retires with more receptions or less.
I'll
he's
take
got
that action pocket.
More tackles in his career than he does drops. So until Larry Fitzgerald, did I say Larry?
Yeah.
Okay, Larry.
So.
I'm gonna give it to Larry.
What about this Auden Tate hype coming out of the Bengals game?
Ooh, we got a comment. Hopkins is a wide receiver 2 this year, not a wide receiver 1.
I think we just blow that right off. That can't happen,
I
right?
think you can count on him to be your wide receiver 1.
I would agree.
Yeah. So
he's going to bounce out of
he's
the
not
top
going to
12.
be as good as last year, I don't think, as he was on Houston.
I don't think he comes out of the top 12.
All right, moving on. Next one. And also, actually, let's touch on this right now. So there was news that came across today that Kenyon Drake was seen with a walking boot.
Right.
And he tweeted out that he's fine, and the coach and he said that it's just precautionary. Have you ever worn a precautionary walking boot, though? It's not a thing that you just like, I hope I don't twist my ankle walking home. Better throw on this walking boot.
Last year, did you wear a precautionary face mask? I mean, I think things change. And
I don't
know.
I'm concerned. So he was a guy where I would go like Miles Sanders, Kenyon Drake, and like a full PPR running back, and I liked it. I felt like it was a good core. I'm worried about it, but I bring that up because if Kenyon Drake's not there, their best guy is Chase Edmonds. That's their running back, followed by rookie, I think, Eno Benjamin. Those aren't great running backs. You're not psyched about that running back group. Chase Edmonds showed out a couple times last year, but had injuries. I don't think he's got a guy that's going to be the workhorse, going to really, and that could cause them to throw even more on a team that wants to throw. They do run 4 wide receiver sets, though. Andy Isabella, if you guys are in the dynasty, come talk to me. I'll trade him before the blowout breakup next year.
Is that what's going to happen?
After Fitzgerald retires, he'll become, it'll be him and Christian Kirk right at that 2-3 spot.
I don't know.
He was a second-round pick. Come get him.
Hopkins seemed to catch too many passes.
I had a trade offer in our dynasty league. Somebody tried to grab Kelly, the rookie running back. Ethan offered to give me J.J. Arcega-Whiteside for Kelly, who I picked up off the waivers in our dynasty league, the Los Angeles Chargers rookie running back. And so I was just looking at kind of where they're at in the expert rankings for Dynasty and Keeper.
Right.
And Kelly was 1 spot ahead of Andy Isabella, which was higher than I thought Isabella would be on there.
Right.
But I think that his long-term outlook is better than this year. I think this year, he's going to be the 4th wide receiver, 4th option on that team. But again, Fitzgerald, I can't see him coming back for another year to be the best hands guy, and then maybe Hopkins can take over that spot.
4 years now.
But he does. He keeps coming back.
Pocket, yeah, the O-line is still definitely suspect, but it can't be worse than it was last year. Their line was pretty terrible as well.
And their defense is still bad, worth noting. They did pick up a
which is what you want,
linebacker
right?
high in the draft, but I think that, that's what you want.
What I like about Kyler Murray is he's not afraid to just throw the ball. Like, he'll just throw the ball.
And he's mobile. They were bad in the red zone. If their touchdowns come up, that team could really produce a lot more fantasy points.
You just need to get Hopkins in open space, and Watson just didn't have enough time. I mean, he was forcing. Hop was still good when he was getting forced the ball in like single double coverage, and he was still productive. I don't know how.
Yeah, I can't make an argument against Hopkins as like a player or his individual talent. It would just be the situation. I think it's different. I think it's going to be good, but not as good.
I think the only thing that's scary is what the situation was before. But if you actually look at it, from afar, terrible line, quarterback fall, or gets tackled a lot. I don't know. We'll see. All right, who's next?
All right, next from my alma mater, Northern Illinois University, former Husky forward, Kenny Galladay, Kenny G of the Detroit Lions.
So I have an interesting situation with Kenny. Is I got to decide if I want to keep him in our auction draft or not.
I don't know. Might give him up though.
You think so?
So we co-manage the league. We kept him as one of our keepers. We have him, Devontae Adams, and Terry McLaurin.
Right.
So we're pretty good for wide receivers there. Man, I like Kenny G last year did very well. He did well with bad quarterbacks. He did well on a bad team.
Right.
If they're in a way slightly similar to the Bears, where it's like if they can just figure a couple things out, put a couple things together. You like their pickup of Swift as a running back. You feel like he's going to give them, if Carry-On goes, again, he probably comes in and is the guy at some point. But Carry-On, I still think he has talent. He's a guy who's going late in drafts, running back that if, you're just trying to take a chance if he goes 0 RB, could have value.
Here's the positives with Kenny G is the Lions are one of the best garbage time teams in the league. Matt Stafford is the most elite garbage time quarterback in the league. Hands down. Hands down.
I actually love that take. That's a great take.
It's absolutely insane. So if we think they're still going to be terrible, which they're probably not going to be great. We can hope. I think they're just going to be throwing the ball. Stafford's not afraid of throwing it. Kenny is super consistent. He's solid. He doesn't have huge boom weeks, but he doesn't bust very often. He's got a pretty high floor. I still like Kenny.
I like it a lot.
I do like that take. I think that's a good argument for him. Marvin Jones had some injuries. Looks like he's coming back. He is a similar type of guy where they throw the long ball to him. And again, it could be a year where one guy has 10 touchdowns, the other guy has 4, and then it could switch the next year.
And I don't see Marvin Jones, like you just mentioned. He's not a threat target-wise, but he's a threat touchdown-wise. He does have a tendency to catch the ball and score when he does get it.
I think if he's there and healthy, I was looking at his numbers. His numbers are good when he plays, but he's just had injuries. And
for sure,
it's just something to consider.
He's older, too.
As of right now, he is healthy and will be back. Give it 2 days, and he'll have a training camp injury, and then Kenny G goes up for me.
I don't think Kenny G is a top 5 wide receiver, but I think he's one of the safer top 10 guys you can get.
Yeah, I think if you went running back, and he's still available, he's a great, that type of.
Well, I think
receiver.
if you
don't need him to necessarily win the week, but he has the potential. Sometimes.
But if you went with a Tyreek Hill, a boom bust guy, if you went with a Amari Cooper, a boom bust guy, Kenny G's a great compliment. Just the safe floor.
Why those two guys you just mentioned are better is they're on better, more explosive offense.
For sure.
But again, on that garbage time argument, just a great argument for that's how he's going to get his points. Is you can have 3 quarters where he's got a couple,
and
catches,
it's almost guaranteed.
He's got 6 points, and then
and it's not just
time.
It's not just end of game garbage time. It's end of half garbage time too.
It's all garbage for the Lions.
So much garbage, and I love it. Give it to me.
Yep. So he was a guy that I did. I had offered a next year's first, I think, for him, and a Larry Fitzgerald, but didn't work. No, that was actually this year's the 1-4.
Okay.
So again, Kenny, definitely some value there, a guy you can use. Next up, after Kenny G, we're going in the same division here. We have of our team,
the Bears.
Got Allen Robinson out there.
So what number are we on?
This is, let me jump back. Allen Robinson, number 8. Ooh.
Wow.
Oh.
I hope he goes 8. I hope somebody spends that much capital on him.
I would agree. Allen Robinson at 8, I think, going ahead of, here's the guys that are, again, it's a little bit of a spoiler alert for the rest of the show, but Mike Evans, DJ Moore, Juju, Adam Thielen, all going after Allen Robinson. I don't see it. I don't like it. I would never do that.
Some of those options are pretty
So,
sketchy as well.
Being Bears fans, though, also, we saw how bad the offense was, but if you just look at his fantasy numbers, they're good.
Very good floor.
Mitch only threw it to Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson made great catches. He's athletic. He's a very good wide receiver.
Absolutely.
The Bears' offense was low-powered. Let's see here. I'm going to try and look at their pass attempts.
You wrote them all out? You just didn't print the sheet off?
They were 14th in pass attempts. No, I was just looking them up on my phone, writing them down.
Oh, my goodness.
You got to go to the notebook sometime. Help me remember.
All this handmade content
things
that we pass out to these people.
But again, they were the Bears. I worry about their offense. I don't know if Foles, if he gets the job, if he's going to just throw it to Allen Robinson over and over and over again like Mitch did. I don't.
It's almost one of those things like, how can the situation get any worse than it's been?
Well, that would be an argument for him.
I know. That's why I'm trying to
get better. If Mitch comes out, he's looking good in practice. He's ready. Cordell Patterson said he's hungry. He's ready to light up the world. He's coming in. He's got the experience. He's been talking to Nagy.
Big Mama's handing out biscuits, baby.
It's finally happening. The Bears are getting a quarterback. It's gonna be great. Super Bowl.
Here, I'll say this. If Trubisky, come on, Ethan, come on,
Dub Bears, Ethan.
If
Get on board.
If Trubisky was going to be the quarterback for 16 games, I'm more interested in taking Allen Robinson at this price.
All right, and I think that's a big if.
But I still don't love it. I'm
I
not
find
taking
your
it.
lack of faith disturbing.
But I also find my lack of faith disturbing. Yeah, Allen Robinson, I would not take him as high as he's going. I would not take him as a 6 wide receiver.
It's just the narcissism from.
I
being a
think the
Bears fan for
Bears
too
are
long.
going to struggle on offense. Hopefully the defense can carry them. We'll get Nick Foles in to manage the game.
Yep.
That's
Hopefully
the
we just need to
road.
score 14 points a game to win.
Yep.
And if
This
we can
is
do
the
that,
way.
maybe.
All right, we'll go on to the next one. Next one off the board, Mike Evans of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the second Tampa Bay wide receiver on the list.
There's no way they can both be top 10. I will say there's a 0% chance both wide receivers end up top 10 fantasy or wide receivers.
Wrong.
No way, it could happen.
Did they both finish top 10?
If Tom Brady,
Anybody in the chat
holding back
wanna
this
back me
whole
up on
time,
this one?
and they unleash him. Arians loves to air it out. It'll be interesting to see how many pass attempts they have compared to last year. But
There's just no way.
You got to think they won't have to come from behind as much because Tom won't turn it over, so they won't be down 7 to start the game every single game.
Has Tom Brady ever had 2,000-yard receiving targets?
I don't believe so. I
even
know,
in
again,
the
Moss
Gronk
is the
years.
guy that everybody refers back to as being like the stud
Right,
wide
Moss was a
receiver where he
stud.
did support
He's had
it.
really good ones, but you've had Edelman and Gronk.
I think.
And Gronk, maybe Edelman and Gronk had 1,000-yard seasons at the
No,
time.
I think there's a path where it's just both guys.
He's
he
50
just
years
puts
old.
the ball on the money. They're good wide receivers.
He's 50 years old on a new team. Yeah, I agree. 2 top 10s would be the Falcons. Most likely candidate.
Yeah, I think that the Rams are a sneaky candidate for Coop and Woods.
True. I would have said the Cowboys before they took
Cowboys,
Lamb,
yeah.
but
Again, I think that they're the best chance at 3 wide receivers with 800, 900 yards. But
I'm completely out on the Bucs wide receivers from a redraft standpoint, and just
Because
hope
of where they're
everybody else
going.
overpays.
that's a point that was made earlier. It's
Yeah.
just the average draft position for the wide receivers is
And
very high.
Again, I'm more cautious with situation and change, and I like to draft more known assets, and I'm just kind of ruling out the whole Tampa Bay team except for Gronk if I can get him super cheap late, and that's more just from a fan standpoint.
Yeah, I think that Mike Evans there, I think is high for, again, if you're picking one, if you're betting on him to be the guy and not Godwin, then maybe you take the chance.
To be honest, I haven't seen any evidence of this, but I'd be willing to bet with the situation change, I bet people aren't as high on Evans and Godwin as these reports say. And once you're in your own personal draft, I bet they fall further than what you'd expect.
All right, so Pocket Pool jumping back in with a guy we talked about early when we were talking about Michael Thomas is Emmanuel Sanders in New Orleans could be
That's
a sneaky
interesting.
play for a 1,000-yard season if he's healthy.
Would you see that cutting into Kamara's value at all?
Man, I think that there was a little bit of a report. Again, it's probably one of the you can
Right.
ignore this positive report about Traquan Smith, who is a wide receiver who's been there for a while, but never really had a breakout. He's been a guy I took at the end of last season as like a chance that maybe he
Right.
kind of develops into a bigger role. So
But-
again, I think Emmanuel Sanders is going to get volume. I don't know how many touchdowns he's going to get, but
Has Drew Brees had 2,000-yard targets or 2,000-yard wide receiver
no, he
targets?
just throws 4,000 yards to Michael Thomas, and then nobody else.
But
has
it's the
it.
same kind of thing. He'll have one guy with 1,500 yards, and then he'll have the next guy with.
But they do throw it to the running back,
800 or
Kamara.
the
They
tight
like to
end will have
target
800.
him.
Agreed, and I think there's too many receiving options there, and they spread it around too much for.
Emmanuel Sanders is a guy that I've looked at a lot when I'm getting to that point in the league. Like, do I wanna? But I just have been passing on. But he could be one that I agree. I think there's potential for him to really.
I think to Pocket's point though, Emmanuel Sanders has produced in every role he's been in. Doesn't matter what team he produces
for the past 40, 50 years.
Exactly.
Like,
Well, he's a safety blanket
he's
from
an older guy.
from the Steelers to the Broncos. I mean, even his short stint with the 49ers. He does well. He shows up. He's reliable. I like Emmanuel.
All right, we're going into tier
doesn't get
3
hurt.
now. So this that ended
Yep.
a tier. We're going into tier 3, and the guy we're talking about is the Carolina Panthers wide receiver DJ Moore.
Too many red flags
Okay, so
for this price.
the thing that I've seen again, and so he's the number 10 wide receiver, but there's a number of running backs that'll be off the board. So this could be, your third, fourth round that you're trying to, look at DJ Moore. I've heard some analysts feel like DJ Moore is going to get 100. Like he's one of the wide receivers that could potentially have 100 targets this season. And I still worry about Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson, again, nobody's paying attention to. He is going very late in drafts. You can get him as like your last pick of a draft.
I agree, Pocket.
What Pocket say? Read it
Just
for the
said
people.
overvalued for the risk.
I think DJ Moore is volume. I think he's a talented wide receiver. He's a young guy. If you're in Dynasty, DJ Moore is a guy that if you could get him before, before things go really well this year, this might be the time to get him.
Ethan, how do you feel owning DJ Moore going into this year? Are you worried? Are you fine? Do you think he's going to be the same as last year?
I don't think Teddy Bridgewater excites anybody. Like if you've got a wide receiver and Teddy comes in, you're not like, oh boy, now he's going to blow up.
Teddy's like almost like a mobile Alex Smith almost. He's a really good game manager. He can move around a little bit. He can get you your short completions, and he's solid. He's like a better Tyrod Taylor. But
all right, here's a question for you.
I don't like it.
So I'll ask you and the chat, see if anybody knows. Carolina Panthers, how many, as far as, where were they ranked in pass attempts? So, again, the most pass attempts we talked about was the Atlanta Falcons.
Is this just last year?
I'll give you a hint. They're in the top 12. I think we talked about this on a previous episode, or maybe not. Carolina Panthers.
Okay, I think this is a flawed stat. Yeah. I think this is a flawed stat with how many of these pass attempts were past 5 yards downfield. How many 5 yard plus passes did they make? And I bet that stat's super low. I think Christian McCaffrey is dink and dunks make up so much of those passing targets.
So Carolina Panthers were the second most pass attempts for a team in the NFL last year. They had the third most pass attempts to the running back. So it did skew it for, those little dinks to Christian McCaffrey.
Well, do you have the other teams that were?
Another stat that's come across, I don't have it in front of me, but Curtis Samuel had, I think, led I don't know if it was in a certain distance of passes attempted to him.
Right.
But it just was also the highest percentage of uncatchable balls.
Well, and the same thing, they were terrible for the first 6-7 weeks.
They will likely need to play catch up. Their defense is, ranked, I think, in the bottom 5. They have a lot of turnover there. They could be playing from behind. Hopefully it's good for Christian. God, stay healthy, Christian. Oh,
right.
I pray for Christian.
We got some chat in here. Big 12 offense. DJ Moore will be fine. Yeah, I don't know. I'm scared.
Also, someone agreeing with you that pass attempts shouldn't count because of McCaffrey. But
yeah,
again,
you're feeling that
they threw it to the wide receiver.
Year 3. He's assessing? Ascending? Is that what you were trying to say? I don't think
assessing how good he's going to be, and he decided he's going to be great.
He's going to be too hindered by the coaching changes, the quarterback changes. He's going to have to relearn everything, and I think those attempts aren't going to go up.
We got a comment from War Wife.
That's my sister.
Okay, I saw War Wife. I thought it might be mine.
I'm at war with my wife. No.
Oh well, welcome War Wife. We love having the wives in here.
Don't forget to hit that follow while you're here. I want to see if the notification actually pops up, but it could be a false hope.
All right. But thanks for saying hi.
Yeah, I still am scared by the whole Carolina Panthers offense.
I think if I'm
sweet, I heard it.
All right,
I heard
thanks
it.
Thanks for the follow.
I don't know if it actually showed up on screen or not.
Oh.
But maybe you guys can let me
know.
All
right, we're trying to work up to 50.
Trying to get there.
Start giving us all your money.
Invite your friends.
Hey, Brittany says hi.
Yeah, the QB play has been terrible, but I think it's going to stay terrible.
I think Teddy's going to be all right. I think he's going to be better than what they had last year. You can't make the argument that he won't be.
I think he won't be.
And DJ Moore was good, so I like DJ more than Allen Robinson. I'll say that, and I'll leave it there. If you have any final thoughts,
he's high on my do not draft list. He's gonna be one I'm putting up early in our auction draft.
All right, well maybe wait a while so I can get him for later.
And Greg Olson's gone. That's a good point.
Greg Olson, it is So they also Ian Thomas, the guy I've talked about, he's a tight end who's been there. He had a couple decent games,
right?
So he's. Hopefully, I'm hoping, again, because he's on my dynasty, he's my backup tight end behind Zach Ertz, that he can come on this year and get involved. And hopeful for him. So as far as like some situations, I would probably pick him up before Uzama, even though I love Uzama, and I'll tell you why.
Freaking Uzama. You got to get over
At the end of the show,
Uzama.
stick around.
Does
No.
anybody like Uzama as much as you?
The reason I think I like to talk about it is because nobody anywhere on any show is hyping him.
I'm gonna get
I am
Uzama.
the fan
You know
club.
those like
Get him to call in.
you know those websites where you can pay like professional athletes to do like a short message.
I don't know what you pay
I'm
professional
gonna get
athletes to do.
I'm gonna get Uzama to do
The
a
fans
short
only
video that
page.
says, "Hey Mike, don't pick me up because I'm gonna be terrible."
No, all I use the internet for is hard
I don't-
fantasy
I don't
football
know.
research.
If anybody wants to set that up, I think it'd be worthwhile to save Mike's fantasy season this year. We just lose more and more credibility the more you talk about CJ Uzama.
I gotta be the biggest fan.
Oh my goodness.
All right, it's gonna happen though. So next up on the list, behind DJ Moore,
Uzama cameo.
yep, we got Juju Smith-Schuster.
Juju.
So, Juju for you. Risky.
I don't see any risk in this at all.
You're crazy.
There's no chance Juju Smith-Schuster doesn't finish top 8.
I think there's a lot of ways that Juju
No
Schuster-
chance.
Where did he finish last year?
It doesn't matter.
Wasn't in the top 8.
Roethlisberger is the biggest piece of this argument. He throws the ball.
He's
And he throws
an
it to
old
Juju.
old quarterback coming off an injury is the linchpin that could just derail this whole thing. And you're thinking,
As scared as I am about Brady, I'm not scared about Roethlisberger. With age and throwing the ball and just pushing out targets, because that's really all Roethlisberger's got. He built a career on just launching the ball.
so, oh man,
Do you think Juju's a good athlete and a good wide receiver?
I think Juju's a good athlete. I think he's a good wide receiver. I think he, has that.
Then he's gonna
just
score
natural
all the fantasy
ability to
points.
put up big points in a game. I am worried about. So Roethlisberger's a guy who's going
Right.
late in drafts. If you decide to take like a quarterback with your last pick before you take a defense and a kicker, a lot of times Roethlisberger's there looking at you.
Right.
And I could see a world in which somebody just waits, gets him, and he's a top 10 quarterback. I wouldn't put him top 5, but again, when he was there last, they aired it out. He's historically done better at home than away.
Right.
But again, even if you're streaming, like there's going to be weeks for sure that people stream him if they're looking for a quarterback.
NIU grad, Juju can get separation without he doesn't need separation because guess what? Roethlisberger doesn't care about any separation. He's just going to fit the ball in there as much as he can.
All right, that's
Exactly.
That's my buddy, NIU to KU. So, Adam, we got you. We see you. We love the comments. He went to NIU, Northern Illinois University with myself, also home of Kenny G. And then decided there wasn't enough corn, so he decided to go to Kansas and is residing there. So,
Why?
yeah.
Why?
Stay tornado free.
Do they even have fantasy football in Kansas?
They have corn and fantasy football.
Well, maybe we should go.
Yeah.
But I feel strongly if Roethlisberger is healthy, maybe that's a big if. If Roethlisberger is healthy, Juju will be a really good asset.
So, going back to your comment about having less faith in Brady than Roethlisberger stay healthy. Brady doesn't get hit. He gets rid of the ball. Roethlisberger stands in there and takes hits. But he's a big guy. He's Big Ben. That's why they call him
He's
big.
a big fella.
Because
He's
big.
hard to take down.
And I think
And this was
that-
an elbow thing. It wasn't even legs this time.
Yeah, I think that one of the moves I just made in Dynasty was a defensive move. So this is kind of a deeper take, but I dropped the Browns, and part of the reasoning when I was dropping the Browns is because they're in a division with Lamar Jackson, who is difficult to sack, and Big Ben, who's difficult to sack, and now Joe Burrow, who is going to be more difficult to sack than Andy Dalton was. And I picked up the Saints, who are now playing against Tom Brady, who, again, I agree he gets the ball out. He's one of the best at getting the ball out, but is behind a weaker line on a new team.
No, pocketball, he doesn't mean he gets rid of the ball to the player. He gets rid of the ball by launching it either to James White or off the field.
Either way, like he'll throw it away if he's going to get sacked, or he will just gets the ball out of his hand
Right.
quick to his
Right,
running
but
back or wide receiver.
again,
Now that he doesn't have James White, it might be harder for him to check it down to a
Right.
to
the
Rojo.
old Eli Manning special.
Yeah, and
I have
think-
never seen somebody so scared than Eli Manning with a linebacker alignment in his face. He is so scared just to even throw the ball at the ground.
Eli, his line was bad, man. You got to cut Eli a little slack. When he was playing on the Giants, he was getting rid of it.
He knows soon as got the football, he was already looking to throw it into the turf.
Yeah, and that's why Odell quit on him halfway through the season with a fake quad
It
injury,
was
ruining
so
my fantasy team.
It was so bad.
It was bad.
It was so
But
bad.
that's a long time ago. Now, they got new guy, Daniel Jones, right?
Yeah.
So
We'll see how that experiment goes.
he's got a tough start of the season, but he could be a guy that's on waivers, after week 4 that maybe you take a chance on if your Baker Mayfield's not panning out or if your Roethlisberger's looking, a little old, things
All
like
right.
that.
Who we got next?
All right, let me jump back. All right, after Juju, again, if he falls a little bit, I'll pick up Juju, but I don't want him as my wide receiver 1. That's my take.
I'm taking Juju above Evans and Godwin.
I think a guy who's safer coming up next is Adam Thielen for the Minnesota Vikings. Thielen hurt me last year. He had one of those kind of the worst case scenarios where it's like, oh, he's coming off an injury, but he's going to play. Oh, now he played one play, and now he's not playing. And you could tell he was frustrated as well as Diggs because Kirk Cousins wasn't throwing the ball very much. It's a team that wants to run. But you picked up Justin Jefferson in Dynasty. Have you seen any reports on him?
They haven't been great.
Yeah, and that's also what I saw, that BC Jones or Bissy was running with the first team ahead of him. I think that Justin Jefferson could be good. I think that he just might not, like some people thought he'd just come in and be Diggs. I think that it might take a little while for him to develop.
I think it was always going to take a little bit, but I think it'll be sooner than later. I don't know.
I think they need him because you don't want BC out there.
After last season, do you trust Thielen, though?
Yep. Adam says free school. That's why I went to Kansas.
Makes sense.
Hey, and if you can get Kansas, free school, and corn, there's some basketball there. They got good college basketball.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
Until it got canceled. Like, no.
Until there
the
was
one
no
thing. Yeah.
Brutal.
Oh, sorry about that. That is just devastating that they canceled the NCAA tournament.
I know. It was like right then, too. It's like, we could
He's
have made it 2 more weeks.
Says go Huskies. We got the Husky fan crowd here.
Yeah. He went to NIU as well.
All right. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Played for their golf team.
All right, we'll do the fight song later.
Good old Cleary.
Thielen, I like him. I think he's going to get volume for that team. He's not going to get volume compared to like the number 1 wide receiver on another team, but he's probably going to get the most passes thrown to him on that team.
Thielen ends the season within 1 or 2 spots of where he's taken here. I don't think he's a value. I don't think he's overvalued. I think he's right where he should be.
Again, I think he's just a safe bet to get the ball thrown to him. He's got good hands. He's going to get some touchdowns.
This is the same kind of guy. I would pair him with a Amari Cooper or any of those boom bust guys.
He had a hammy last year that hindered him, but again, I think that's one that it lingers through a season, but then usually after an off season, you don't see it generally pop up. Like there's not a guy that every year he gets a hamstring injury. It's more like
Alshon Jeffrey, but yeah.
Alshon has a hangnail.
Yeah. Out for 2 weeks.
All right, so Thielen, that's a little high, but again, if you're building a team a certain way where you just want like reliable guys, we get like Woods and Thielen,
again,
they're just going to give you good games with Christian or something.
Fantasy football isn't as black and white as it was 10 years ago. I think I mentioned this
back in my day when
Well,
Doug started in
it's not-
1842.
It's not even a back in my day. This was not too long ago. I mean, this is 10 seasons ago. There were 24 wide receivers. You knew that every year they had almost the same output, the same amount of targets. It was super predictable. Now it's wide open, and being so used to those areas, I go through these wide receivers like, don't like that guy, he scares me. Don't like that guy, he scares me. All of a sudden, I'm 24 deep, and I haven't found any wide receivers I like. So I think all these guys definitely have some huge question marks, but you got to pick somebody here.
You do
Might as
have
well
to
pick Thielen.
Somebody. Truer words were never spoken.
I think Thielen's good.
You gotta pick somebody. There you go. Oh,
There you go. That's the high quality content.
Well, you gotta pick somebody.
You gotta pick somebody.
All right. Speaking of somebody that you might gotta pick, Amari Cooper of the Dallas Cowboys. What are the odds that either Gallup or CD Lamb finishes more fantasy points than him?
0.
Okay. So that's what, again, I think that I would tend to agree. It seems like if he's healthy, he's definitely the one, at least for this year. Amari Cooper, what are the odds that he has 3 or 4 weeks where he doesn't finish as the number 1 wide receiver on that team, though? I think that's 100%. I think that, he's known as kind of being that guy that'll disappear, but then he'll show up and have
It's not going to be for a lack of targets, though.
He could be the wide receiver 1 on the week, and then the next week,
right?
Be 64 or something like that.
I don't think they have as many scoring. I shouldn't say that. I think they'll be fine. I think if he still gets the touchdowns, he's still going to be a top 12 wide receiver.
Here's a question for the chat. Of the 3 wide receivers in Dallas, you got Amari Cooper, Gallup, and CeeDee Lamb, the rookie. Of those, where they're going at their average draft position, which one do you want to take a shot on if you can only get one? But, again, Amari Cooper, he's another one that I think I've had some drafts. I don't love him as a player. You never feel safe with him. He was, I think, the 1 year, like the most traded. He probably went to 4 or 5 different teams because people would have that blow-up game, sell him high, and then the other guy would, see that he'd miss a game and someone would offer something.
It hasn't really gotten better with the Cowboys. It started out hot, but overall it's kind of the same story, except for you're getting a couple more boom games maybe.
Again, it was Cobb who took off, and he vacated a lot more targets than people realized when they dove into it. I think he vacated like 80, 84 targets.
Yeah.
So we got an answer, Gallup and Jarwin. So Jarwin, there's getting a little bit of hype. The Iron Man Witten did not retire from football. He actually went to the Las Vegas Raiders, where he's hanging out.
Like, what the hell?
Probably finished as like the 12th tight end of the year.
I don't understand that either. Like, you were in the booth. You can make more
higher
money.
than you. Again, I don't know, have it in front of me or offhand, but I know that he finished like in the top 20 tight ends.
Well, he had to have. He scored 8 touchdowns.
Yeah,
so that already puts him in the top 12 if he has 7 fantasy points.
You know who could use him? Tampa Bay. They're just picking up tight ends with.
Yeah, but okay. So Pocket says not a fan of Cooper. Too many no-show weeks, but we have that theme across the top.
Depends on the week he shows. Like if he shows in the playoff, but he had some foot injuries last year. That's not worth. It's make a note of that. He's had some things.
Let's go a little deeper on this, and I want to know, Ethan, your idea, NIU, whoever you are, and Pocket Pool, whoever you are.
Yeah. See what Adam thinks.
Yeah, I think we need to know: are we going towards a wide receiver group and maybe a position? Maybe it's just a positionless NFL as far as skill position goes, where it's just going to be like that. It's going to be the hot hand. You're not going to have wide receivers that have, 14 really good weeks and 2 bust weeks. I think it's going to be a lot of boom bust. That's just the modern NFL. So really, we're kind of counting how many boom weeks do you have and how big do you boom. So as far as Cooper goes, I think he has some pretty good weeks and probably enough risk or enough, good weeks to get him into the top 12 tier. I think that's what we're really judging here. And do we think Lamb affects that? I think it'll be the same, if not better than last year.
Yeah.
Even though they threw for 5,000 yards.
Again, I picked up Lamb in Dynasty. I'm hopeful for him. There have been some good reports. Like, it sounds like he's looking good, what you'd expect.
Right.
A kind of a wide receiver rookie prospect of his caliber. But I don't predict him to come in and just all of a sudden if he got 800 yards and like 4 touchdowns, I'd be thrilled.
Okay, so how many targets a game would you expect Amari Cooper to get? Like on average, how many would you be happy with?
8 to 10.
Okay, so here's where I want to go with the AJ Green argument. Just real quick.
Oh no.
No, but that's what I mean. If
no, hard pass.
Talking about AJ Green in the top 20 wide receiver conversation.
Again, I just want to bring it up here because
I made this drop for when you talk about AJ Green.
Now I'd like to begin today by apologizing on behalf of you to me. And that apology is not accepted.
That is Melissa McCarthy as Sean Spicer, one of my favorite SNL skits.
Here's the thing. I think AJ Green's going to get 8, 9, 10 plus targets a game. So if we're looking at it across the scale and we're going to buy targets in big weeks, I don't think he's that far off from here.
I think this is a good point. Like if you get a goose egg from your number 1 wide receiver,
right,
that can really crush you for a week. If you get it from a guy, if you plug in a Marquise Brown or you plug in a Will Fuller or somebody that you took in those lower rounds into a flex spot,
right.
It's different if you've got that wide receiver 1 who's reliable, who you can get that 15 points from, and then it's like, okay, I missed out on it this week. Whereas if it's your number 1 guy and you don't have that guy in that slot who's going to get you that guaranteed 15 to 20, then you're crushed. Like that's, I think, why Amari Cooper is such a risk.
Yeah, who is this? I can't even read the name. Ooh, a new guy. Bravo. Welcome. Welcome.
Ox?
8 to 9 targets. Again, I
X.
agree with the line. He needs a AJ Green. I don't know if you're talking about him or Amari Cooper that needs a trade, but I just think it's a weird situation in the modern NFL with your wide receivers are going to have bust weeks. I mean, it's the days of Antonio Brown. Okay, AJ Brown.
Okay.
Or AJ Green. Which one? AJ Green. I think
I'll pick Brown. You can have Green. Yeah. What color do you?
Where would you like to see AJ Green traded to though?
So is he saying AJ Green needs a trade, or
I think he's saying AJ Green needs a
that
trade.
Amari Cooper needs a trade? Because
No,
I would love an Amari Cooper
before
trade.
Green goes and sits on the bench. Again, I agree. You're drafting the risk at his current ADP, but I don't think it would be shocking if he was in that top 12 discussion after a few weeks.
You're looking for a Bengal. You want CJ Uzama.
Ooh, Green on the West. Interesting.
All right. Well,
Houston.
So the Cowboys.
Actually, can you imagine
I
AJ
think
Green
there's
in
value.
Houston?
It's going to just be hard some weeks to discern who it's going to be.
Poppy likey.
Gallup a bit of a value too if you can get him late.
People were scared on Gallup, but you see the McCarthy quote? They were talking about Gallup as a wide receiver too, and he goes, "Let's be clear, he may be the wide receiver 2 for us with Amari being so good, but he's a 1. Yeah. He's a 1, which I don't.
It's Coach Speaky, but
it is Coach Speaky, but he's kind of proven to be on that Ridley path almost until he got lammed.
I think I completely agree. Again, I felt like he could be one of those guys this year that this was going to be his breakout.
Yeah, the Tyler Boyd, the Ridley.
But there's a world in which they all are pretty good.
Again,
maybe not great. Maybe their greatness is capped.
They still threw for 5,000 yards, and the tight end targets have to go somewhere, and they're not going to the tight end. So,
yeah, I'm trying to look at.
How do you look through these? Can you show the camera these handwritten notes?
I'm going.
It's like the man doesn't have a printer.
We're going to the notebook.
It's literally just you can't see it. No. You can't see it.
So bright.
It's literally just handwritten team names in an order. I mean,
hey, you gotta do your homework.
See,
Ethan
he wants to know if Gronk's going to be a top 3 tight end.
Binders
the
full
answer
of information.
is probably not, but we all can dream. See, this man asked the right questions.
So Dallas was the 10th most pass attempts last year. Just fun fact.
Yeah.
But they get rid of Witten. Just, the
5th
stalwart.
most pass attempts, but again, they had a ton of yards.
Ton
of yards.
There's a lot to unpack on the Cowboys.
It'll be a fun team to watch, for
but
sure.
again, Dak's coming on. Did well last year. Tight end.
I like Dak
Blake
this year.
Jarwin. There are people that are hyping Blake Jarwin as a tight end sleeper kind of guy. Somebody who could have some,
Again,
I don't know if he's going to just be the next Witten.
I think Blake Jarwin argument is not as strong either because you see the yardage that they pass for, you see the passing attempts, and you see Witten gone. But I don't think that necessarily translates to Jarwin being good.
Tight end question for you on the.
I know. I saw that. I already
What
addressed,
did you say?
and I would assume he will not be a top 3 tight end.
Will
but
Gronk be a top 3? If you count number 1 as a top 3, Nick says. But.
Exactly.
All right, moving on. We gotta go. We gotta get to the next wide receiver. Next one we got a guy you've heard of. Again, I feel like he's a little polarizing, but Odell Beckham Jr., OBJ of the Cleveland Browns. And let me see if I can find a little Cleveland drop in here.
That team sure did suck last night. They just plain sucked. I've seen teams suck before, but they were the suckiest bunch of sucks that ever sucked.
That ever was.
Again, I feel like the Browns could easily buck that drop, but until they do, I think I saw a stat that they haven't made the playoffs since
forever.
Was it like it's just been years and years and years. I think there are people that are driving cars that were born after the last time the Browns made the playoffs.
Bravo wants to know if Gronk will not be a top 3 tight end. He may be a top 5 tight end though. I just don't see how he gets. I can see a world where he's top 3, but I'd say highly unlikely.
You're crazy.
Give me top 5.
No.
Give me top 5. Okay, again, there's a monumental drop off after like 3, 4, 5 in the tight end order. It goes from like real fantasy points where you're averaging 10 a game to the 2.5 points a game guy.
You should have a bet.
Our league allows tackling points. So
I forget who it was earlier, but you should have a bet of whether O.J. Howard or Gronk finishes. Who finishes higher? That should be the bet.
I'd bet a lot of money that Gronk will finish higher.
Ooh. Who was it that was talking? Was it Barry at the start who said that OJ was going to be
Barry's
top
probably
3?
been in bed for about 45 minutes. I don't think he's here anymore.
He's just writing down critiques that he can send into our
Will we
chat.
be 4 weeks into the year after OBJ goes in our 3rd or 4th round and OBJ goes for like 100 and a touchdown for the first 4 weeks and we're like, we're all dumb. Why did we let Odell Beckham fall to the 3rd round in drafts? Or will that be where he is?
Man, like it's not outside the realm of possibility. So that's the thing. But OBJ has had very good games. But again, he gets little injuries. He just gets disinterested, doesn't care, knows that his team's not very good. Like, again, I question I don't know the guy in real life, but I just, from what I see, like I question his heart and just how much he actually cares. Like if his team, I feel like if they're in it and they're playing for something, he'll play hard. And that's when he has his best games. But it's like the Browns, if things they got a new coaching staff, things don't go their way. Maybe Baker's not very good, which I don't think it's outside the realm of possibilities that Baker's just not a good quarterback.
OBJ needs Andy Dalton, AJ Green, like bonding, or Watson and Hopkins, where you throw it to Odell no matter what the coverage is, and you throw it to him 18 times a game, and you just ride or die with it. I think that's the only situation that Odell would like.
Again, I think if they're winning and they're making a playoff push, I think that completely changes how I feel about Odell. But I think that, he's coming off a bad year where the excuse that they made for him, whether you buy into it or not, is that he had a core injury that he sustained in training camp, and that's why he was bad. Or was he just, was that, like, do you buy that?
Again, if he's there in the early 3rd and I have a pick, I'm just going to take him. I don't want to be the guy that didn't pick OBJ in the 3rd or 4th round, and then he can't be any worse than a pretty good flex play, right? Does he finish lower than wide receiver 2?
I don't want him. I'm passing.
I'm
passing on the Browns, except for Jarvis. Jarvis is the opposite of OBJ, who's all heart.
I think you have to look for the upside,
nails.
though. I think you have to look for the upside, and if you want to win the league, having a potential top 5 wide receiver that you can get in the 3rd round is how you win leagues. No?
Well, if you have OBJ, who just is what he was last year, and AJ Green, who is what he was last year, you're hurting.
Again, is he riskier than buying Antonio Brown in the draft last year? He was still going in the top 2 or 3 rounds as well.
What a debacle! Like, doesn't that feel like it should have been 2020? Like,
I know
all of it.
That is
one
2019 story
that happened
a year
year.
Oh
man, that feels 2020.
Thank you, Bravo. That actually does mean a lot.
Oh, Bravo saying we're killing it in the
chat.
chat.
You're enjoying it.
All right,
but I like OBJ at that ADP.
So I'm out on OBJ at that ADP. If he falls to the 5th because people are concerned.
That is great news.
Give me Jarvis, the real number 1 wide receiver on the Browns.
Ethan, with our $250 budget, how much would you spend for OBJ in the auction? I'll let you know my price too.
If you put that number on there, I'm bidding $1 less than that in our auction. I would rather have the next guy on the list.
All right, who's next?
Robert Woods of the Los Angeles Rams. All right, Robert Woods. I'm sick of letting Robert Woods just fall and not taking him and be the greatest value in the draft.
Robert Woods is...
You make the case against him, and I'll hype up Robert Woods.
But the thing is, I don't want to make the case against him because I have him. I want him to be what everyone thought he is. They are who we thought we were. Every year he has like 3 games where he'll have monster games, 16 targets, 150 yards, and a touchdown. He'll just go insane, and then he'll have some solid weeks, but he gets nagging injuries. He like disappeared for like a week or 2 last year, and nobody knew where he was. Remember that whole weird thing? He was just
not really.
So like
vaguely,
it was like an hour before kickoff. I had him in the lineup, and then it just said Robert Woods won't be playing today. And it didn't have a reason why.
I thought he had like a real reason though.
But it was never disclosed.
It wasn't like he Dennis Rodman and just went off to Vegas on a bender.
No, it was like what's a Bears linebacker? That
Roquan Smith just had just
disappeared for a little bit. It was strange.
Speculate on that. What do you think that was?
He had just a panic attack.
I thought it was like a mental health kind of like anxiety, something like that.
He's a young kid with a bunch of money and a panic attack.
Yeah, Chicago, we can be mean to you.
We can? Us?
So, okay, Chicago, we're not Philadelphia where we're just going to throw batteries and
All of
scream
our-
about your mom.
Come on. All the people in chat are from Philadelphia. Now we
But
just lost.
Chicago
all
will
four
just
people.
like fairly but consistently berate you. I'm
Yeah.
just like, it's like a critical father.
It's more of like, I hope you
Like,
don't suck. And once you suck,
yeah.
we're like, it.
yeah,
you're exactly what we expected.
You only had 3 tackles that last game. And,
Yeah.
you,
This is why we
really,
can't have nice things.
You really let yourself down more
Yeah.
than anybody.
No, nothing
Oh,
is
yeah.
ever worse. That's why when the Cubs won the World Series, it was such a shock. It's like, what do you mean? What do you mean they won? It's over.
Is this real life?
We did something great. Wow.
And it still hasn't hit people.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway, who were we talking about?
Oh, hey, back on track. We were talking about Odell being the worst, and then Robert Woods being just a very consistent guy. So here's where I'm taking Robert Woods.
Yeah.
I go stud running back, and then my next guys, I'm looking for those DJ Moore, those Robert Woods, those
If
guys.
you take
that are
Robert
gonna get
Woods
volume.
as your wide receiver 1, you'll lose on the year.
I don't think so. If you get the stud running backs, or even
I
if you
bet
can get
money
him
on
like
it.
with your 4th pick, I like Robert Woods. I think that. So here's the argument for Brandon Cooks is gone. Brandon Cooks
Right.
had a lot of targets in that offense. Robert Woods, again, I think that Goff, he's a question mark still, but he does show up. They throw a lot of passes. The Los Angeles Rams, if I look at my chicken scratch on my handy dandy notebook, the 3rd most pass attempts last year. So
Because they were
want to
behind
throw.
so much.
There's talk about how they changed the system. They started going with the 2 tight end sets at the end
Right.
of the year, but still, Robert Woods was in more than Cooper Kupp in those situations, which is why I think he's going above Cooper Kupp, is because even if they switch that system, he's still going to be the guy that's out there being the wide receiver.
Best case scenario, he's Ridley.
I see them very differently.
Robert Woods will always be wide receiver 15.
I see Ridley as a guy who could blow up, and I see Woods as a guy who's going to be like a rich man's version of Jarvis Landry, a guy that you're just going to be able to play every week. He's going to go out there, he's going to get you his 15 points, and you can rely on your stud running backs to get the big points while he just cushions, your team.
I think he is Jarvis Landry. I think you're overvaluing the targets he's getting. The targets aren't as good as they seem. I watched a lot of Robert Woods because, it was usually the only afternoon, 3 p.m. game that, I had players in. And they just throw the ball to him all the time. They just throw it. But they're not good throws. He's always covered. The line's not great. If the line's better, then maybe. But I just don't.
Yeah. Catches balls, gets
see it.
points. Brandon Cooks is gone. Their line didn't improve very much, but they did get a running back who's good at running behind a bad line. So maybe he opens up.
I think Pockett's making a great point here with he'd rather take Kupp over Woods. Why wouldn't you take Kupp?
Kupp
here
had more
instead?
touchdowns. Kupp I'm worried about because of how they kind of changed their system and were running more
Right.
two
But
tight
again-
end sets. Kupp, for the points that he had, was on the field less than a number of these wide receivers. They take him out for certain packages that they do, so that worries me about him a little bit. He, this past year, stayed healthy, but for the most part was coming off an ACL injury again. So that it's not a big deal, but it sticks in the back of my head.
Bravo again. I feel like the chat's killing it right now. Woods is not my number 1 or 2 slot. He's inconsistent. He dragged me down last year. But again, I think if Robert Woods is your wide receiver 1, you will lose. I think if he's your flex play, you're happy. I have him in Dynasty. I don't have him. He's my wide receiver 3/flex play. He's not any more than that. That's he'll average 9 to 10 points a week, but you're going to be disappointed more often than you're happy.
I think for certain team constructions, there's something to be said for a guy who can just go out and consistently.
He's got a good
points.
floor
Yeah.
for sure. He's got a solid floor, but it's a mid wide receiver 2 floor.
Give him a bump in PPR. I think he's going to have more receptions this year
don't.
than last year. Okay.
No,
All right. So, again, a little bit
the
of
targets aren't good enough.
Yeah. Again,
Agreed.
I feel much better
Flex
with him
is
as my
comfortable.
wide receiver 2 than 1. But
And Pocket thinks Higbee shining the 2 tight end sets as well. I have Higbee as well. I have both pieces.
Higbee's a good mid-round tight end if you're looking for somebody with some upside.
Yeah, I don't think he quite has the name yet, but I think he'll be valuable late in the
His
draft.
end of season was very good. So, for people that were still paying attention, like,
when Everett was hurt and Brandon Cooks kind of sucked, then
Brandon, man, fell off a cliff.
and Cooper Kupp isn't, free of any injury either. He was hurt. But again, through 4 weeks, Cooper Kupp was just a monster. Just an absolute monster.
Well, he was one. So, again, we watched the Fantasy Footballers. It's, one of the popular podcasts. If you're going on, you've probably seen them. There was a point where they were really saying, like, you should buy Cooper Kupp. He's going to finish as a top 5 wide receiver.
Right.
And then
And his
he
leg
really
fell
did
off.
dip. And it didn't come to fruition.
It wasn't the same.
So it's like, do you believe that he's going to get back to that, or do you believe that he's going to stay, dipped a bit?
Again, I think I look at him almost the same now. I'm looking at him as both mid to late wide receiver 2s, and I don't want to pay this much for them.
All right. Next one on the board is A.J. Brown of the Tennessee Titans. Let me take A.J. Brown.
Go ahead.
So we have a keeper league, and I got A.J. Brown for nothing, so I can keep him for $5, so I've got to keep him. With that being said, I'm not excited about A.J. Brown. I feel like I'm going to keep him because he's only $5, and then I'm going to feel like I need to play him because everybody's got him ranked up high at number 16 here, and he's going to have those Amari Cooper-esque disappearing games where the whole team threw 4 times, and he caught 1 pass, and it wasn't a touchdown. And, Hunter, and then
Tannehill?
I'm talking about the running back. I know his name.
Derrick Henry.
Yeah, Derrick Henry. And then Henry just runs it 1,000 times and has 4 touchdowns. And,
Okay, so this is one of those things. Maybe this is too off the cuff.
he was hyper efficient.
I take teams. It's like the Philadelphia running backs. It's like anything. It's Bears linebackers. It's historical data, right? It's the Bulls on TNT on Monday nights. Like there's weird statistical things that happen where no matter how far you get, how much the statistics, shouldn't matter, but they do. The Titans will always disappoint you. I mean, it's just whenever you think you know a piece and you purchase them at that price, you're always disappointed. You paid high for Derrick Henry 2 years ago. He sucked for 8 games. You dropped him. You were disappointed until you were picked up later. Derrick Henry's going high. AJ and Brown is going high. You're going to pay up for him, and they're going to disappear. It's just guaranteed. It's just guaranteed. They're going to suck. Eagles running backs will always disappoint. If you take Miles Sanders this year, I guarantee you he will not meet his expectation for the preseason.
So they were hyped.
Am I wrong, though?
I don't know if I buy that particular line of thinking.
Will the Bears ever have bad linebacker play?
It could happen.
It's just not going to happen. Will the Green Bay Packers ever have bad quarterback play? There's things in history that cannot be changed.
It is strangely shocking how teams don't seem like, even though they bring in a new general manager, even though they bring in a new coach,
doesn't matter.
even though they bring in new players, like the Browns always suck. The Bears always have a good defense and no quarterback and no offense.
It has been written. It has been written.
Like, I completely see what you're saying. Is like, because it is. It's
Again,
like the teams have these identities.
I have no stats to support this theory, but
I
guarantee you it'll happen.
But like teams have good defense. Like the Ravens, the Steelers, the Bears,
Right.
like they have good defenses.
100%.
Like the Falcons, the Saints, like they like to air it out. There are certain narratives that
Pieces change, but the overall theory of the position stays. Again, the Titans are. It's not a big
They're
market.
not a sexy team.
Yeah,
they're not. You don't tune in to see
Yeah.
them air it out. They're not.
They chose that over the Oilers. I think they were before. I don't know if that really generates much hype either. They're kind of a forgotten team. If it wasn't for Derrick Henry, does anybody really believe in Tannehill?
So Tannehill was very, very good at the end of last year. A.J. Brown was great, but they were hyper efficient, which is hard to maintain. A.J. Brown, I believe in the talent too. He's great. Like his yards after catch, amazing.
I'm sure he is.
He was a rookie. You hope that a rookie does better the second year.
I don't want it.
Oh man, where he's going in this. So what did I just say he was? He is the number.
It doesn't matter if DeAndre Hopkins goes to the Titans. He's immediately off my draft list. I just won't. I won't even look.
Wide receiver 16. I get him for $5.
Maybe that's bad analysis. Maybe it's bad analysis.
And I know that Kareem Hunt, it's just gonna happen where I'll look at it and be like, oh, Chubb got hurt. He had a concussion in the preseason, that they waved off. Hunt gets in, he's amazing, and then next year I could keep him for also still cheap because I got him cheap this year because of the suspension. And he's gonna go to the Steelers, and I just look back and should have taken Hunt as my keeper.
But Bravo, how much can they ride Henry? I mean, I get it. If you have a running back that goes for 200 yards on the ground, it opens up things in the
better question is,
attack.
can they do what they did last year? Can it work again?
It's not even can they do it. Can they do what they did the last 4 weeks in the playoffs of last year? It's such a small sample size. You're riding the 2019 hype to wasting 2 draft picks in the top 3 rounds. Crap. Don't like it. Hard pass.
So let me tell you about the Titans division.
I don't want to draft hype.
There go
There's
in the
40 years
Titans
of history.
division. You have the Jaguars, the Texans, and the Colts. Like, so if you're trying to have a division that you can make this work, that's a pretty good. You get to play the Jaguars twice. They're just on the ropes. The Colts have a lot of young, good pieces, but it's just not come together.
The Colts are just going to control the ball.
They're going to run. It's going to be a run.
It's going to be an interesting matchup.
It's going to be a 30-minute game. Like a running clock.
The clock's going to keep going forever. And
Henry is a torso and legs of the team.
He's basically
the
the team.
Tannehill the head and
but
Brown
it's
is the
true.
arms.
If they don't have the running attack, they can't support the passing attack that they have.
Well, that's why they were hyper efficient. That's something you can't overlook. Is they were hyper efficient in the passing game because Derrick Henry is so effective running the ball.
Right.
That if you don't throw every guy you got to just two grab his legs, one jump on his back, and the other guys just try and hit him.
Yeah.
You can't bring him down.
Yeah. The end of the day, just don't draft any Titans players.
Keeping AJ Brown, but I don't feel good about it.
Oh man.
But there are people that are high on him, and again, if he can keep that efficiency, he's a guy that can get into the end zone, even if on a short pass.
I love that people are paying that much for him. I love it.
I don't like it.
I like that they pay that much for him, so they can just waste all their money
I'm gonna trade him before
or
the
their
season.
draft picks.
All right, we got next on the board my guy Calvin Ridley. Riddle me this.
What number is he at?
He is 17.
I think that's exactly where he belongs. He's the best 17 there is.
There's a group of guys in here that it's like I feel like are all kind of have that same that Robert Woods, AJ Brown, Calvin Ridley, Cooper Kupp.
But Pocket, there's no way he finishes top 12, right? There's no way.
Calvin Ridley?
Yeah.
Oh, it could happen.
No
If Godwin could do it.
No.
They're going to throw the ball a billion times in Atlanta. That's all they're going to do.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
The more that I look at things, the more that I listen, the more I feel like he's washed, especially if he goes down with an injury, which could happen.
I've been trying to just kind of temper your hype on
They
the
are
Ridley.
Tampa Bay
I think,
from last year.
See, he's
and Ridley's Godwin.
You're too into him.
With more touchdowns.
Jordan, he's injury prone.
So that
Jordan,
is okay. You finally throw.
I don't think he actually. No. Okay.
Ridley has had some injuries. Ridley has missed some games. So if you're trying to cool me off, that's a great argument. Because again, I've had him in Dynasty since he was a rookie, and there've been games that he's missed.
I know Jordan.
So that is a concern. But again, he's a great route runner. He's had, I think his rookie year he had like 10 touchdowns. That doesn't happen for a lot of rookies.
Right.
They want to throw the ball. I believe Matt Ryan's a good quarterback, good to like upper half, especially if he has a good year.
And he's a good year.
They, again, had the most pass attempts last year. I can't see a narrative in which they throw less pass attempts than they did last year.
So where really finished on the season last year? What number?
Oh, that is a good question. I don't have it off the top of my head.
Who's got the goog on it? Well, you Google that. I'm going to grab
the best that the experts ranked him was 10, and the lowest anyone had him was 39. So again, he's polarizing. Let's see. Yeah. Watt has no idea where Calvin Ridley finished. Again, he did miss some time, so it's going to skew his numbers a little bit. But when he was playing, again, he would get touchdowns. He'd have big games.
All right. Pocket pool, 807. So he had 800 yards receiving, 7 touchdowns, and he missed some time. I would think he's got to be better than that.
Yeah, again, I'm predicting about 1,000 yards. I'll give him 8 touchdowns.
I'll give him. Well, you think if he's got to go 200 more yards, he's going to have another
and
touchdown.
I think that could be like
866 to be exact.
That could be the floor. So I'm psyched on Calvin Ridley. And let's say there's a world where Julio Jones gets injured. I don't know how much that helps or hurts him.
I think he's still the same position.
Okay, but they got rid of Hooper. Now they have Hayden Hurst, who came in as their tight end. I don't think he's going to get as many targets as Hooper did.
So
they got rid of Mohamed Sanu. Like everything's just lining up for it to be.
I disagree
Ridley's year.
I disagree with that fact. I think there's been arguments before made where the Falcons historically have used a tight end. If I'm going to buy into the Titans being terrible, I have to buy into the Falcons having a reasonable tight end position. Whoever is in that number 1 tight end spot, which it is probably Hayden Hurst, he'll finish as a top 7 tight end. That they just use that spot. Matt Ryan likes that big body in the red zone. He looks there first. I think that's fine.
So again, Ridley having 10 touchdowns and then 7 touchdowns, pretty decent touchdown rate. And why I like him. So again, I think that him being the 2 on that team helps him too, because he's not going to see the best guy because they got to cover Julio Jones or they're going to burn him with Julio.
Right, but it still takes out the top end.
It's like Juju-esque when Juju hit Antonio Brown. It's Godwin-esque when Godwin has Mike Evans. I just like a lot of stuff for him to have, some, especially even, maybe he does have those lower games. Injuries worry me the most with him.
But even in that Juju year, where did he finish on the season?
Again, he
wasn't top 5.
Had games that won you weeks.
He wasn't top 10. Maybe it was close. Really should get 1,000 and 8 to 10 TDs. And
again, I think that's a safe floor.
And again, I like the argument with how many more wide receivers would you say will have those stats? And I mean, you don't have 25,000-yard wide receivers. So
no, you don't.
That obviously makes sense. You're going to have a couple come from behind or rookie takeoffs, or you're going to have a couple weird Cinderella stories like DJ Shark last year. But I still don't see Ridley as finishing top 12.
Okay, and the more I think about it, again, I hadn't made that comp before, but I think a Juju comp is a pretty good comp for also what I think could be hit.
But when you have a bona fide 1 and another tight end spot that they use, you're just not going to have as much upside.
Most passing attempts in the league list.
But again, I like it as a wide receiver.
So
2
much
spot.
passing,
and like you're right. The floor is nice, very nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna get one for show.
Be getting that for show.
Be getting that for show.
So are you trying to go running back, and then Woods Ridley?
I'd be pretty happy with that.
Oh,
again, if
I'd throw up in my shorts.
I think that you might be surprised.
Hard pass.
All right.
Ooh, what do you guys think of Superflex DST? Off topic, gotta go soon. I've never played in a Superflex league. I don't know if you go on Reddit at all, but it is interesting to see how much the player values change when it comes to Superflex.
I feel like just the quarterback. So you're talking about...
No, because the whole complexion of the league changes when you have 2 startable quarterbacks and there's only 32 in the league, that play each week. And it affects on how you value CMC and how you value all these other players. It definitely gets super interesting. Superflex. So you're talking about Superflex DST, not Superflex quarterbacks? I mean, come on now. I don't want to talk about no DSTs.
Oh, Nick loves defense. He just traded away.
DST and kickers should be taken out of fantasy football altogether.
Oh, tell him about the trade you made. Who'd you trade away for the Ravens defenses here in Dynasty?
I trade away Bryce Love.
Breakout superstar of the year for the Washington Redskins now that Geis is gone?
Please, Pocket Pool and Bravo. if you have any sense, you got to tell me that Bryce Love will not be like
for a
reasonable starting asset.
So again, I feel like
in Dynasty,
it could definitely happen where he becomes nothing or re-injures and like you got the better end of it. But I think that his upside at the moment, I would rather have the upside of the chance that he becomes, a stud wide or running back who, especially again, Adrian Peterson, will he play next year?
Probably. He needs the
money.
Larry
Fitzgerald just go to a team.
Adrian Peterson's got no money, so he has to play.
Oh man, I don't know.
Avoid all skins this year. I think
so. That would lean towards
somebody's going to get points
towards liking your trade there.
And it wasn't Superflex. He was just talking about the actual San Fran defense. San Fran's going to win games 10-6. Like that's how.
Please type it out so Nick knows what we're talking about.
I see SF. I immediately think Superflex. I did see the DST. I thought you were talking about off-topic stuff.
San Francisco, going to be a great defense.
Yeah,
I think I've seen them ranked as high as 1. I think that San Francisco they locked up their good guys.
They're gonna be tough. In San Francisco, they just run the ball. They throw it about a yard over scrimmage, and they just control it. I don't think the opponent, the other offenses are going to be able to score a bunch of points
and just get sacks.
Yeah.
So I like them a lot. While we're on a tangent about defense, I've seen New England going high in a lot of things. I'm concerned about their defense.
I don't like them as much as last year.
I don't think. Yeah, that's exactly what I want to say.
You're a hype drafter still.
They were getting huge points. They were winning weeks for some people, throwing up 30, 40 points. Just obscene numbers for a defense. I definitely don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to be more of the middle of the road.
Pocketpool thinks the Bears deal will be good again this year. I think the Bears running attack will be much better than last season, just with Foles in there, because I think Foles can just operate the offense better. I don't think it's going to be prolific or anything. I think it's just going to run a little bit more efficiently.
The Bears had one of their good defensive linemen opt out for the COVID stuff.
That's
I
what
forget the
Pockett's
name
saying
off
too.
the top of my head. Or
Hightower and Chung.
Okay.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, and then so that was New England, but the Bears. The other thing is Akeem Hicks, when he got hurt last year, it really, like, if you paid attention, it really
He's
hurt our
more
defense.
essential to defense than
And it looks like he already kind of aggravated a quad, so I'm concerned about him when he's there. Again, he's not more pivotal than
But the cornerbacks
Mac, but again, he
are good enough
Like
now.
it really hurts when he's not there. But again, they signed a new guy who's going to be in there. He's going to be doing a good job. So I think the defense, I agree. The Bears, I've been picking them a lot.
They're going to be tough.
Picking them up a lot.
They're going to be solid.
And they play in a division against Green Bay with no wide receivers, and against the Vikings, who, they're not putting up huge points, and the Lions, who just great at garbage time, bad at real time.
And the Bears won't be scoring a ton of points, so the other offense doesn't have to push the ball as hard.
Yeah, I think the Bears are
that's going to be a benefit.
Strong pickup. And you can usually get them later than
right.
some of those other ones. They could be like maybe the 5th or 6th defense off.
Jordan still has no idea what he's talking about in here, which is fine. That's
Gotcha.
okay. Hot takes. He's injury prone. you're doing your best out there. What the hell?
All right, so back to wide receivers. We got a little off topic.
Yeah. All right, we got
bring it
what,
back.
3 more to wrap us up here?
Yep. So at number 18, we have Cooper Kupp. We talked about him when we were talking about Robert Woods. Again, they just take him off the field more than Woods. He has had some injuries, but he's good in the red zone.
I think he's appropriately placed here. I like him at middle of the wide receiver 2 group.
And again, if he can be what he was at the start of last year, you're going to really be happy getting him here.
I don't
know that he's going to go back to that.
Again, you got to think that's his ceiling, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how it couldn't be when you're averaging 30 points a week for 4 or 5 weeks. Ethan was absolutely beside himself because I gave him crap for him buying him in the auction draft, and then he went
All
off.
right, we got some.
I see Pocket Pool's got
Cooper
a
Kupp love in there.
high end 2, middle low 1 upside.
So Brandon Cooks again.
Yes.
Brandon Cooks is gone. That helps Woods and Kupp because, again, just another good wide receiver who commanded targets is off the team.
Right.
They've got a couple young guys who I like coming up. Josh Reynolds and Van Jefferson is the rookie that they took this year in the 2nd round. I don't think either one of those guys is going to steal a lot of targets, especially this year. Cooper Kupp is on, I believe, the last year of his contract. So there's all of these guys. It's like reports that, we want to re-sign him. We'd like to work that out. But none of them, a lot of those don't come through as actually being a thing that happens.
So here's the thing with Cooper Kupp is I think he's much safer than some of the other options that we've talked about because he gets his points in a different way. He gets his points from solid targets. There's nobody on him. He's making quick breaks. He's in the slant. He gets consistent looks that he'll still get. Opposing offense or defenses aren't keying into that. They're not trying to stop the passes that Cooper Kupp is catching. And we even had Eddie Jackson or Will Fuller on the Bears say, they're not trying to break passes up. They're just trying to make sure you don't get to the first down. Well, Cooper Kupp isn't getting 20 yard from the line scrimmage target. He's not getting the deep ball. He's getting the 4 or 5 yard quick slant routes, and those are going to be consistent. He's not going to he gets open, correct, Pocket. But again, he doesn't need to because the defenders are playing 2 off of him because they just need to tackle him afterwards. So yeah, if he's basically the varsity version of Jarvis Landry, then he's going to get 10 targets a game for 5 to 10 yards a catch. Again, I don't think he's going to score a bunch of touchdowns, but that's pretty solid as a floor.
Yeah, and this is something I was unaware of, that he led the NFL in red zone targets last year. I did not know that.
I actually would not expect that either.
For wide receiver, yeah. So
I like Cooper Kupp. I would pay that for him.
yeah, I think that if you take him there, it's pretty safe.
Right.
It's not one. Yeah, if somebody took him there, it's not like, you blew it, or that's a great pick. I think that's about right.
Right.
That's about where he should go.
And I think if I like Cooper here and I didn't like Woods earlier, then I don't know that I like Cooper Kupp more than Woods. I think they're
that's
very
an interesting
equal.
take. But I think I like Woods a little bit better from a consistency point of view, and I like Kupp a little bit better for like if you need a big game. If I had to do a bet, and it's like, all right, you got to pick the guy that's going to have between 10 and 20 points, like I would pick Woods. And if you're going to say, all right, you got to pick the guy who's going to have over 30, who's going to really have a blow up,
right?
Then I'd pick Kupp.
But Bravo, the Rams have been not doing so well, but they're still going to have to throw the ball a lot. The defense still isn't great. They're still going to have to score points. And Jared Goff, is decent enough at getting the ball out there into his receivers' hands. I mean,
well,
Cook's coming off. Higbee,
they depend on how he goes too, because he has some good games and he has some down games. Goff is a guy. How do you feel about having him as your quarterback? Stream
as a fancy quarterback that you're starting personally, or as a quarterback for a wide receiver that you own? The quarterback for a wide receiver I own, I don't mind him. He at least throws the ball. He's not scared to let it go. But I don't want
him at
start
all.
him.
Never.
No.
He'd never take the chance.
Hard
And I
pass.
might stream him if he had a good matchup. But
It would have to be really good. It'd have to be anytime he plays the Packers, because apparently he can score 40 points.
Well,
every
if
time.
we like guys that just destroy the Packers.
That's true.
so.
Anything that destroys the Packers.
You done messed up, Aaron!
God, that's got to be our most popular drop. That's
Hey,
what it probably should be.
You know your audience, right?
They lose to bad team, but again, I don't really care about their record. As long as they're throwing the ball and scoring points, then it is what it is. They lose two bad teams and blow big ones like this. It is kind of funky, isn't it? They don't have a whole lot of consistency. Thanks for the follow, Bravo, by the way.
Again, people do believe in their coaching staff. So if you believe that
Right.
McVay is going to straighten out some of the things that went wrong for him last
So
year.
have you watched Hard Knocks yet?
No, I honestly
Have you guys watched it, Pocket and Bravo? I don't know who else is in chat here.
not
but
watched.
you
I
guys
haven't
can
watched
answer as
any
well.
season of Hard Knocks.
You've never watched Hard Knocks at all?
No.
I feel like you're unqualified for this
all I
position.
watched was the Jarvis Landry.
I feel like you're
the-
unqualified.
the-
Not this year. It's on.
It's contagious. Talking about injuries.
So it's on the Rams and the Chargers, since they're both in LA now.
okay.
But it's super interesting. But it's the McVay Goff like conversations and coaching. It's very strange. It's very strange. They're
How so?
because they're very professional. They're not casual at all. It's very direct and, hey, I really like when you do that. I don't like when you do that. Okay, coach, I got it. Okay, coach, I got it. Hey, I love when you say. It's very high school-esque. It's strange. It's strange. I just feel like there should be more. I don't know. Maybe it's just you don't want to get too close to your players and it's all business. But I don't know. I didn't really like the dynamic too much. Seemed fake.
Interesting. Yeah. No, I have not watched.
Yeah, and it is great. McVay, especially in the first intro episode, especially with his wife. His wife is just a brutal person to listen to. Just a brutal person to
Careful.
listen to. Man, she's annoying.
Is it McVay's wife?
Yeah,
Is she
McVay's
gorgeous?
She's okay.
Right. I got you.
I can't. Previous.
All right. Well, there's a fun fact for
It
you.
is-
If you
it
were
is
wondering
very
about
scripted.
the listenability of McVay's wife, you're not getting that on every other podcast.
Exactly.
You gotta tune in here.
After when you're opening up episode 1 of Hard Knocks this season, just skip the whole McVay interview at the beginning. It is just
Hey.
you can't get that time back.
Oh,
You are so dumb.
You awesome.
You are really dumb.
All right, who's our last two wide receivers?
all right. Next one we got DJ Shark of Jacksonville.
Studying film? What kind of film
Week.
are you studying? DJ Shark's here.
All right.
The
Good luck
19?
with the film study. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
Yeah. Learn something and come back and tell us so that we can
So
disseminate it to
yeah,
the people.
Yeah, we need a video editor if you're interested. All right, so DJ Shark.
All right.
I sold him last year, super
For
cheap,
cheap.
in a deal to get. Was it last year or the year before for Deshaun?
I might have been.
I think it was the beginning of
2
last year.
years. Oh, was it? Okay.
Beginning of last year for Deshaun. That was McVay to his wife. Yeah, exactly. See, we get thrown in. See, this is the problem with texting. We don't really get the full thing.
Oh,
But that's
man.
for sure him and his wife. He just gives her
no.
the face yeah, okay, I'm gonna leave now. Yeah, that's why he does so much work just to get away from her.
Hey.
I sold DJ Shark as a throw-in for Deshaun Watson, and I mildly regret it. But do you believe in the mustache?
I love how he thought that this man was going to watch tape. And it was just a McVay impression.
And he was calling us honey. I didn't know.
Man. Hey,
Man.
we get a lot of that. So
Or maybe you're the Jessica Alba film, honey. I don't know.
once we get to the 50 followers, and you can send subscriptions out.
Yeah.
$5 for a picture
Yeah.
of Nick's feet.
What?
$10 to see his belly button.
I don't like where this is going.
Hey,
That's
we gotta-
fans only.
We got to pay off the camera.
That's a different website, buddy.
All right, so DJ Shark, where he's going, He's going to be the number one wide receiver on that team. Got good chemistry with Minshew. I'm excited to watch this team. I want to watch Minshew. I want to watch Laviska. I think they're going to be awful.
They are going to be awful.
If you looked at Minshew's stats, though, like if you didn't put his name on it and you just looked at the stats, his numbers were pretty good last year.
Okay, but here's the thing. DJ Shark catches freaking everything.
If Minshew had gotten taken in the first round of the NFL draft and gone and done what he did, you would feel so much differently about how he plays.
But again, I think his historical talent would show you he may not be that good.
Get taken. Yeah, so like you've got that apprehension that was this all just false?
But we don't need good. We need good.
But
enough.
It was a pretty decent sample. Again, they're gonna play, and you got to throw it to somebody. Even bad teams, you'll find guys that produce. Devontae Parker last year for Miami produced, and it was a top, wide receiver.
DJ Shark
option.
was one of those guys where, hey, keep an eye on him. It's like Laviska Shenault this year,
and he kept being good.
Keep an eye on him. Hey, keep an eye on him. Alan Lazard. Hey, keep an eye on him. Keep an eye. And then all of a sudden, these are all guys that are maybe going to have some decent fantasy points.
Yeah.
And DJ Shark, he actually is panning out. He's exciting to watch. He catches everything.
Yep. The experts.
I like the storyline.
The experts I watch that do this for a job daily, they like DJ Shark. They think that he's got good potential.
I think if you enjoy
touchdowns,
if you enjoy fantasy football and you have to watch these players play, I want to watch him play.
I agree. DJ gets all the looks. So
100%. It's not Didi
who's the
anymore.
next guy on that team?
It's got to be Didi, right?
Didi just coming. Just saw that he has a shoulder injury, but Didi
right.
has underwhelmed. He was a guy that I kind of believed in, liked. I'd take him late in drafts and just never panned out. I think Laviska is going to get some playing time. Yeah. So if you're looking for
Didi stinks.
Didi does stink, man, and like he has games though where he'll have like one good game, but then he doesn't string them
because
together.
Again, that they don't have that offense only knows how to throw to DJ Shark or give it to Fournette. I don't think they know how to completely operate a full functioning offense.
It's a bad team. That's the biggest argument against is that Jacksonville's just not going to put up a lot of points. Trying to go to the board.
Dude from New Orleans with the blonde hair last year, he got hurt. Yeah,
Jacksonville actually had the 12th most passing attempts, which surprised me. I was looking for them at the lower end of this, but yeah.
Any of the terrible teams will have a lot of pass attempts. That's usually how it goes. In fact, you can kind of go down the list and see that with Atlanta, Carolina, Rams, Bucks.
Let's see, the dude from New Orleans with the blonde hair.
Who went?
I don't know who he's talking. That is a deep dive. We're gonna have to do some research. But they had Marquise Lee, right, who went to the Patriots then opted out.
Yeah.
And then they just you got to think he's gonna get the volume
again. It's the Eagles running backs again. It's the Titans everything. They just can't have more than one good wide receiver. They had Allen Robinson before. It's DJ Shark now. There's going to be nobody else. They don't need anybody else. They're just going to throw it to him. They force it, and it's great. I like DJ.
They play against the Colts, the Texans, and the Titans, who, again, all their secondaries. Indiana had, I think, the 26th ranked
Willie
secondary.
Willie.
And then Houston has the 25th ranked secondary, so they're not playing against the world-beating secondaries.
No. I'm okay with getting DJ Shark with my wide receiver 2 pick. At this price?
Agreed.
At this price?
There might, again, it depends on who's on the board, but, he's definitely a guy that I think you could take a chance on.
Not the corner.
Could work out.
All right. Who's
would
at
you
20?
rather have DJ Shark or the number 20 Tyler Lockett?
Tyler Lockett is the number 1 player that I don't want on my team, and I hate to play against every week. I'm looking at the team for the next week that I'm going to go against, be like, oh, okay, they got a turd quarterback. Oh, they got okay running backs, or wide receiver core sucks. They got Lockett as their number 1, and then we play that week, and Lockett goes for 25 points, and I lose.
Lockett's a guy.
It's so frustrating.
I took in a league last year. People laughed at me like, "Oh, because this is my wide receivers. Oh, you got Godwin and Lockett as your first 2 wide receivers. Yeah. Like you're an idiot." And then
it's the same
lo
thing.
And behold, they were great.
Again, it's like AJ Brown. I just don't see a path where they're fantasy relevant. But at the end of the season, there they are. So between 12 and 15, and it pisses me off. I don't like it.
AJ Brown and Tyler Lockett's situations are slightly different. One, the big thing is the quarterback. Russell Wilson is, completely, in my opinion, a much better quarterback than Tannehill. They want to run the ball, but here's what their situation is. They've got Chris Carson, who's coming off a hip injury, who's missed a lot of time for personal kind of undisclosed. So hopefully it's, I don't know exactly what the situation is, but it sounds like he's not injured. It sounds like they're expecting him to be back week 1. But again, he could get injured. He has some fumbling issues. Behind him, they have Carlos Hyde, who is just had 1,000 yards last year that nobody talks about. But again, he's not a guy that you want to your game plan is we're going to run the ball with Carlos Hyde over and over. They've got DJ Dallas, a rookie who I picked up off the waivers, who he's gotten a lot of praise. Sounds like he can catch the ball a little bit. But again, he's a rookie. So probably a little coach speak, probably just trying to hype him up, get his confidence going. And then they've got Penny, who is going to probably start on the pup with an injury. So will their personnel allow them to run the ball all the time? Because Chris Carson gets banged up. And I like Chris Carson. I think he's going to be good. I'm going to pick him, but I see a world in which he's great for 4 or 5 games, then gets injured.
Again, Pocketbull says Greg Olsen, Disley are healthy. Again,
I like Greg Olsen.
Again,
good guy.
I make the case against Tyler Lockett every year, and every year he kicks my ass.
I think Lockett and DK Metcalf are both good picks this year. I think they're both going to have good
I'm just
years.
not going to look down on them, but I'm also not going to pick them.
They got a good guy throwing on the ball. Their efficiency's good. The run game opens up the pass.
You don't want it, though.
Do get touchdowns.
You don't feel comfortable with Lockett on your roster. I personally don't. He's an anomaly, 100%. 100%. I just don't understand how he's fantasy relevant, but he ends up being fantasy relevant.
He was very good last year, and he missed some time. He had a rough ankle sprain. And again, I saw a stat that if you put him on pace for the games where he wasn't injured at the start, he would have finished very, very high compared to the others. I don't know the numbers
and that's
off
what not Bravo. That's what Pocket's saying too.
And good efficiency.
If he would have stayed healthy.
And Russell Wilson trusts him. He throws it to him when the game's on the line. They do,
and it's deep passes. They get it done.
Their defense isn't as great as it's been in past years. So if they do get behind, they will throw the ball. They can throw the ball. There's let Russell cook. The movement to try and unleash him.
Stafford and Russell Wilson are the best garbage time quarterbacks.
I want to put Carson Wentz in the conversation.
The best garbage time quarterbacks.
Carson Wentz. The Eagles won all kinds of games in garbage time.
And honestly, I'll say Trubisky. His last 2 minutes are 80% of his fantasy points. Come on, add him up. I
don't know about
Trubisky's completion percentage.
So many
in the last
games
2 minutes
by
of the game
one or
like
less
70%.
They lost a lot of games by 7 or less
because he
points
sucks
that we
the other
won.
58 minutes of the game.
I think it's maybe the most wrong thing you've said all day. And you've said some wrong things.
No, I have said very few wrong things.
You are so dumb.
I am not.
You are really dumb.
Ooh, Pocket. I kind of like that take, too. Jameis Winston was the best garbage QB up until the finals last year.
Well, his whole game was garbage from the first 3 interceptions, pick sixes that he threw, and then he had 3 quarters of garbage time.
Is a Winston just not what you want all 32 quarterbacks to be?
For fantasy.
Can you imagine?
No.
Can you imagine where we wish people scored less fantasy points?
The stores would have no crab legs.
Goodness.
The Uber drivers would be in a terrible
400
state
yards
of
and
panic.
4 interceptions in the fourth quarter. Who is that? Who is that?
That's probably Winston.
It could have been.
But so a lot of those guys were good for fantasy in garbage time, but Carson Wentz, the whole game they'd be bad. The Eagles would make it to garbage time, and then they'd go down and they'd win the game in garbage time.
Yeah.
Usually off the back of Zach Ertz, which I love because he's my dynasty guy. But yeah, he was, for my money, really pretty clutch this last year.
Yeah. Hey, Pocket, don't mind what the hell. He's essentially a troll. But he's our troll, so it's okay. Bravo, thank you. So here's the plan content-wise is we're doing Monday nights for sure. We usually go on 8 to 8:30. We actually did an extra Wednesday last week. We're trying to hit the requirements to become assistant partner or whatever it's called, affiliate.
Bonafide.
Right. But once the season actually starts, Sunday is starting at noon or 11:45. We're going to go live and go through the 3:30 hour and do we went live on Wednesday last week. Pocket.
Yeah, we talked about the top 20 running backs. It should still be on our channel.
Hey, Warwick's rating with Party of 4. Welcome all you Warwick fans.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
World of Warcraft.
Little raid action. So during the actual football season, we're going to go live for the noon games and basically give all the fantasy coverage through those games. So anything fantasy relevant, it's going to be like Red Zone, but for fantasy football. So we'll have all the games open, and we'll try and give as much information as we can, and we'll just kind of hang out and watch some football.
Yeah, definitely. Looking forward to it. Oh, God, I hope this football season just goes and is great.
Oh,
Everything
Dub Burt's
I hope
in
it
here
could
too
be.
now. Oh, thank you for the follow, Warwick.
All right.
Welcome.
Yeah, tell your friends.
Yeah. You brought 4 of them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll give you 4-person crowd.
All of them, huh?
all 4 of
Hey,
them.
I know. Hey, we're happy to have everybody again.
And if there's anything you guys would like to see, especially if you're going to hang out here at Pocket, we'd love to go over some other things and see what you guys are interested in.
Yeah, let us know.
You too, buddy.
That does it for the top 20 wide receivers in the expert consensus ranking for half PPR. You want to cover a little bit of the news of the day?
Yeah, we can go over a couple
A
things.
lot of little injuries popping
So
up on the.
here's
the
another
wire.
tidbit. Yeah, I'll set the schedule. Yeah, for sure, Pocket. I'll look into that. We're talking American football here, Taru. Definitely American foosball.
British football.
He's from
British football
across
soccer?
the pond.
European soccer?
Across the pond.
Yeah. That was European football.
Okay, look up. I want a quick Google on how many targets Tariq Cohen had last season.
I
want
actually just looked at this.
I want to
today. It
make
was
this
over 100.
argument.
It was like 104.
108, I think it was.
It was
It may have been 100.
in that between
So-
100 and 110.
So if you're still here, Bravo, you're going to want to get this tidbit.
Oh my gosh.
Get Tariq Cohen for just slightly above his ADP. You're going to want him on your team. He's going to be a reliable flex player, and you're not even going to know it. Because if he gets 108 targets from Nick Foles, he's going to be an RB2 for 108 targets. That's so many. That's most wide receiver ones.
All right, I pulled up Tariq Cohen's fantasy points for the
that's not
whole
wide receiver
last
ones.
year per game. So again, this is not even, this is just each game, and this is a half PPR. All right, 10.7 in the first game, then 3.8, 3.5, 9.6, 11.5, 7.7, 8.6, 4.4, 12, 15, 8.9, 5.3, 8.1, 12, 5.7, 11. Nobody can have that many passes thrown to them and finish with such mediocrity, again, mediocre stats.
Positive regression
It was so mediocre, I couldn't even
of how
spit
many
the
balls
word
he
out.
didn't catch. The offense will
Oh
be
my
slightly
gosh.
better. Pocketbook, okay. Here's the thing. The price you have to pay for Tariq is so low, I guarantee you he'll outperform his ADP.
Oh, I'm sorry I offended Britain. Britain, we like, maybe my favorite European country. Definitely
my God.
top 5.
His British ears are offended.
Yeah, our allies out there. We got to
Yeah.
stay united.
Do you play any fantasy football at all? I bet Panther doesn't play any fantasy.
Oh, yeah. They send NFL to Britain before the world closed down. So
You're welcome.
hope to return in
You're
about
welcome
4
for
or
all
5
the
years when
all
they
the
open things up.
culture we're bringing to you, right? When do the Bears go?
All right, so we have one comment. The Bears are not going to repeat what they did last year on offense, going to run through Montgomery. So this seems to be a prediction that the offense is going to rise.
Gotcha.
I completely agree. I think that they misuse Montgomery.
Busy fighting hooligans, Pockets with their batons.
As long as you're wearing a mask, right?
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Here we go.
My AOL internet is finally working. Is that Doug?
That's Dub. That's Dub here.
Dub, not
He's
Doug.
one of my Rocket League buddies.
All right.
Yeah. He just has turd internet all the time. But again, I think Tariq Cohen for the price, you got to get him. I'm gonna fight for him.
I think
So you're telling me,
the numbers I read off.
but again, what was his catch percentage? How many of them were actually good throws?
How many catches did he catch for a loss? Like they just.
But-
Tariq Cohen, being a Bears fan, is the most frustrating guy to watch.
You have to
because
take the opportunity.
They take so many opportunities to throw him the ball, and then it never works. He gets 1 yard, he gets negative 2 yards. He runs 5 yards forward, then he runs 10 yards back. That's why he doesn't have any points.
100%.
Because they're just.
So Pocket
worth-
says, are you saying Cohen over James White? I'm taking Cohen over James White this year.
I'm taking James White all day, every day, 100 times. I'm
I'll
taking
take the
James
bet.
White over like other.
I'll
good,
take the bet.
Like, oh my gosh,
I'll
so
take
let
the
me
bet.
Pick up James White's numbers.
I don't know if I've ever fought more strongly for Tariq Cohen in my life, but
No one,
I don't see how
know
he-
why you watched him. He doesn't
will-
get any points. How can you get the ball thrown to you 108 times and not have any points?
that's exactly my point.
Oh my gosh.
Tariq has proven in the past to be at least efficient with some of his targets. Like I don't know
So
how
we
he
just
isn't.
read off Tariq Cohen's numbers.
Better this
Here
year.
are James White numbers. All right, 10.7, 10.4, and then he had a game he missed. Then he had 9.8, 10.2, 9, 9, 9, 15. Then he had a 7, a 1, and then a 33, 10, 13. Like,
you take
those
away
guys that can get you 10 every week and not
Okay.
have those threes like Cohen.
Right.
Those, like, that's why James White's so
Okay.
much more valuable. 10 points from a guy who's consistently getting you 10 with the possibility of that 33.
But the
Again,
ride's
it was
over.
an outlier.
Brady's gone. It's going to be different.
Cam's used to throwing it to Christian McCaffrey. Like, he can make those little passes.
This
James
isn't-
White's the most talented running back on that team. Like, maybe
This-
Damian Harris, the rookie, breaks out, but like,
This isn't even me being a Bears homer, because really I'm not most of the time. I don't see how Tariq Cohen doesn't do better than last year. And if he gets the same target share, he's going to be so good. He's going to be so good.
he's saying Tariq Cohen of the Bears over James White. And
yes.
I even understand the argument. I don't even hate the logic of your thing, but I just watched it, and Tariq Cohen is the Bears can't use Tariq Cohen. Another team who knew what they were doing could do it. The Bears can't run a scat back. It doesn't work. They're not that kind of team. Their line's not built for that. Trubisky's like decision making to make those little dump offs. He takes him too long to make the call and make that pass.
But it's
Tariq
not going to be. It's going to be Foles.
I want to see his total receiving yards.
If Foles,
it's going to be like 100 passes attempts to him, like 10 receiving yards, because it never works. Or it'll work 1 out of every 40 times, so they'll keep going back to it. It's trash. They should trade Tariq Cohen. They should get rid of him.
Nobody wants Tariq Cohen.
He just ruins the team. They shouldn't have him returning kicks. He seems like a nice guy, good personality.
Again,
I don't want him on the
You're going
Bears.
into real life football. I'm talking fantasy. If he gets 90 plus targets again, he'll be more fantasy relevant than he was last year, especially if Foles is the quarterback.
Yeah, Montgomery will be on the field 3 downs this year. So Montgomery's a guy I took in a lot of mock drafts
I
because
don't
he's
know that
going
that's
later,
guaranteed.
and I think he's going to get work. And I think if he showed out and was a much better running back than what his stats showed out.
I disagree.
Their line's not great. They picked up some guys that are not great. Like,
What did he prove last year? I was going to pay a lot for him. I thought he was going to be a stud. I was buying into the Bears'
so I
history
think
of
they'll throw
having
it to
great
him
running
more.
backs.
A lot of times with rookies, they get more receptions their second year. Just that's how it seems to go. They learn the offense
I
better.
don't think
but
Nagy's learned anything.
he looks athletic. He looks explosive. He makes guys miss. But again, there'd be 3 guys on him right away. He'd make 3 guys miss and get a 4-yard run.
Here's
So
the thing.
I like Montgomery again
especially
this year. I'm
if
ready
you're-
to get hurt again.
Especially if your league counts return yards, then even more so. Because the little bonus ones from Tariq here and there.
He'll
are
have
nice.
one good return, and then 15 in a row where he just goes back 4 yards. Goes back 10 yards,
Oh,
goes
my.
back 13 yards.
I agree. Montgomery needs the ball a lot.
Nobody would have
Just
more
like
yards
Jordan
if they
Howard
counted
did.
the back and forth, lateral movement as Tariq Cohen. But then he doesn't explode. Like,
I think Tariq Cohen will finish above running back 30.
I would 30's
I would even say 25.
I don't like it. I don't like
That's still
I don't
almost-
like Cohen. I'm not taking him anyway.
That's still almost RB2 number.
Maybe with my last pick of a draft.
If you can flex Cohen, I'm happy.
They should have traded Cohen, kept Davis, pounded with Davis, loosened him up, let Montgomery run.
It's like you don't even want fun.
Montgomery gets better with work. They're going to learn. A lot of teams have done that. They've
Why
been
do you
guilty
hate
where they just
fun,
don't
Mike?
give their good running back enough
Why do you
runs.
hate fun?
They learned it with Henry. They learned it with Mixon. And I think the Bears are going to be the next team that realizes, oh, we need to feed this running back more. But again, their line's not great. I don't know. I think they should pass the ball to Montgomery more often and less to Tariq Cohen. I think Tariq Cohen's targets could come down dramatically because
They could.
because Nagy looks
the
at tape
caveat.
and realizes, oh, this didn't work at all. Our offense was bad when we threw it to him 100 times. Maybe we don't throw it to Tariq Cohen 100 times.
If there's anything I know about the Bears, it's they don't learn anything.
I think Nagy, I hope he's smart enough to realize. He seems like an intelligent guy. He's well-spoken. Like, he seems to know what's going on. I think he just gotten it in his head, like, we can make this work. This is a great system. I designed it. It's very smart. We can make it work. And they would go out and they couldn't execute it. I think the plan wasn't the worst. But again, once they couldn't execute it, he was awful at then changing and pivoting to like, okay, now we need to turn into a more run-based offense.
Yeah. Pocket thinks Nagy's job's on the line.
100%.
You think
100%.
so?
Oh, if they were bad this year, if they were like what they were last year, this year, I'm a benefit of the doubt. We'll give them another chance. I think that you need some time to like have some continuity.
Pace is just teaching Nagy the ways of getting another year or two out of the ownership.
You got bamboozled.
Oh no,
That's just what they do. They do enough to get by, and then right when you think, okay, I'm gonna wait till this, storyline ends, we'll play this out. They have another one just to bring it back in and make you believe again.
They
And
just
then
missed on the quarterback. Like, that's what happened. They picked Mitch. It was the wrong pick. There are other quarterbacks that were better.
Right.
We won't, go over it because what happened. But that's where they lost it. Like,
Right.
And that could happen to any GM, even if you're a good GM. I've liked some of their other moves. I've liked their defensive picks.
I'm just ready for my heart to get broken.
They've
again.
done great with defense. They've done poorly with offense. Shaheen was bad. I'm not sure if they were responsible for White, who was always injured, the wide receiver.
They're gonna be responsible for Jimmy Graham.
All right, so there's maybe a little more Bears
That's
than you
for
were
sure.
looking for. All right, let's.
Well,
okay.
we got a Tinley Parker. How do you like Tinley Park now that you're from? Were you from New England? The Bears paid Mac $25 million a year because they thought their offense. Yeah, I agree. Or that they thought their offense was going to be good enough to score 14 points a game or 15 points a game to, win some of them.
Yes,
But
Pocket Pool agrees. It's going to change, and the first thing they're going to do is not give Cohen the ball 100 times. That's 100% agree. I couldn't agree more.
So
if I had a like button on my end where I could like your comments, like I
over
would do it
under
here.
90
on YouTube, if you put it, I'll like it.
Over under 90 targets for Tariq Cohen.
Under.
I'll take the over. All right, let's move on.
I hope they trade him halfway through the season.
All right, what other
never
news
been
we
a good
got?
fit.
We got to wrap this
All right,
bad
so
boy up.
I told you I talked about CJ Uzama. The people want to know. Let me just give you a quick breakdown of the numbers. All right.
Go ahead, talk to CJ Uzama.
All right. So this is just.
I know I did. That's the point.
Oh,
That's how many people want to hear about CJ Uzama.
oh, hold on, you gave me.
All right, there you go.
Now I'm
We'll
going
talk again.
to begin today by apologizing on behalf of you to me. And that apology is not accepted.
All right. So, new quarterback,
Uzama's bad, and you should feel bad.
the Tiger King.
You have a
So,
whole page for CJ Uzama.
Joe Burrow comes
You
in.
really thought this out today.
He completed 60 receptions to the tight end at LSU his last year. All right. The Bengals had 112 total tight end targets last year. 63 went to Eifert, 40 went to Uzama. Eifert is gone. He's no longer there. So they also have Drew Sample. I think it's Drew Sample. Sample was a rookie tight end they took in the second round a while back. He played 10 games last year before getting an ankle injury. He had 6 targets. They don't love throwing it to him. So Uzama had a touchdown in the last 2 games of the season last year. He's got pretty good hands. They didn't bring in a tight end. They didn't draft a tight end. They didn't sign a tight end in free agency. He's 27, which is about the age you're looking for. He's 6'6", 260 pounds, a decent blocker. And the Cincinnati Bengals had the 14th most targets for any team to the tight end.
I'd rather draft myself.
I would not go that route.
I mean, the Bengals Alliance,
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
the
So let's say he gets
no, the Bengals are on the
100
bench.
targets.
He's not.
I think it could happen.
Over under 40 targets for CJ Uzama on the year.
That's what he had last year with Eifert there in front of him.
Exactly. That's how
You think
bad
they're just going to vacate 63 tight end targets?
I don't think
With a rookie quarterback, rookie quarterbacks like to throw it to the tight end.
Mike, Uzama isn't good enough to have a stranglehold on any position on that offense.
Again, the Bengals O-line, not very good, so he's going to need to check it down. Again, they haven't thrown it to their running back either a lot. They don't throw it to Mixon all that often, even though I think they will
don't
do that more. I would bet that they'll throw it to Mixon more.
Mike, they don't throw it at all.
Andy
And
Dalton
they go three
didn't
and out.
throw it. Joe Burrow, his practice reports is they're doing 2-minute drills. He's going 6 for 6. They're marching down the field. They're lighting up people.
They have to have the league lead in 3 and outs. Maybe right behind the Bears.
Unless Sample comes on, and I'll watch. If he starts picking up steam and they're throwing it to him, maybe I'll pivot. But
Again,
I think Uzama's going to be their guy. I think they like him. They paid him, again, on his last contract more than you'd be surprised by what they paid him. I can't remember. It was like $5 million deal.
If Joe Burrow is the real deal, I'll have to readjust my expectations for the Bengals in general. But as of now, I don't trust anybody on that offense at all, except I trust that just like Allen Robinson is getting targets, AJ Green, or like Pocket says, Boyd will be the target leader. That's the only piece besides maybe Mixon that I want on that offense at all. It's either AJ Green or Mixon. I don't even trust probably Tyler Boyd. I'm buying into the history and the fandom of AJ Green more than anything. Mixon's really the only piece on the Bengals offense that I feel comfortable with. And even Mixon at the ADP, I question.
Yep. Again, my mild predictions. CJ Uzama will finish much higher than his average draft position. Again, and I think that he's going to be a guy that's on rosters by the end of the year that people are keeping, not dropping.
He's going to be one of the recommended options from the waiver wire all year, like he has been the last 4 years.
I think this is a year that instead of being that, he's on team.
There's no 4-year breakout tight ends. It's just not a thing.
It'd be Hooper-esque. A lot of times the tight ends take time to develop.
Hooper's
Nobody
on his
just
rookie
comes in
contract.
and busts out their first year. Like, when would you say the average year that they bust out?
How old is CJ Uzama?
He's 27.
Again, he's
27.
too far into it.
No.
Hooper's like 23 years old.
Because Eifert was there. Now Eifert's gone. The path is opening.
Eifert was never good enough really to qualify as a stud tight end either. I mean, the whole position is going to be a wash.
But there were two of them. One had 63 targets. One had 40. And then you combine that into one guy.
They're not, though.
You're just going to not throw it to their tight end at all?
Boyd was hurt. A.J. Green was hurt. You have Auden Tate
Green's
that was
already
hurt. But that's what I'm saying. There was no wide receiver targets. They only threw to a few. I mean, I bet very few players on the team had a bunch of targets. I mean, who was the leading receiver on the team? It had to have been Boyd, right?
Yeah, that'd be my.
So you got Ross that you don't trust. You have A.J. Green, which you would expect to get targets.
Auden Tate, I think,
Tate
had some positive reports.
There's just nobody to throw it to.
So throw it to Uzama.
It's not going to be Uzama
all day,
either.
every day.
It's not going to be Uzama.
Burrow's going to throw. They didn't bring him in there not to
Burrow's
throw.
going to key in on a wide receiver, whether it's Boyd or A.J. Green, whoever's healthy, and that's going to be it. You're not going to want anybody else.
That's Nick's hot take.
How many?
You are fake news.
How many tight end 1 weeks will Uzama have?
Again, I'm not even saying he's going to be your number one wide or
but
tight
here's
end.
the thing: we can't give a
going to be usable.
We can't give a tight end to this much airtime.
When you took Hunter Henry, when you took Gronk, when you took a guy and they go down and you're looking for somebody, just glance his way, especially if it's early in the season.
Again, we're talking about 3 or 4 points a week. We're not. It's
OJ Howard or Uzama.
Honestly,
yeah. If you say OJ Howard, I'll go.
Honestly, I'd probably take Uzama.
There you go. All right.
That's how bad I don't like either of them.
Yep, Eifert had some injuries, but again, he had 63 targets. They're just there. They're there.
It's not going to happen, Mike.
Uzama
won't finish higher than the tight end 15.
Winning.
And again, the biggest thing, he's there for you when you're looking for a tight end, when you're desperate, when you need it.
The only thing he's there is
gonna be there
as a reminder that it can always get worse. That's the reminder.
Going to outperform his undrafted position.
I don't think he will. Honestly,
it's going to happen.
How does somebody that's always borderline waiver wire outperform
the other tight end they throw it to leaves, and a quarterback who's a rookie comes in who throws the ball more?
I bet you he doesn't get more than 10 targets on the season.
Painting you the picture. The picture's on the wall.
He won't get more than 10 targets in last year. So we had 40 last year. He won't get more than 50 targets.
I'll say he gets more than 50 targets. That'd be a bet I'd be more comfortable.
I'll take the under. All right, you want to wrap this bad boy up? We've taken up enough of pockets. It's not Uzama.
Oh,
it's not going to happen.
Let's see. Hold on. We got a little bit of time. We'll just hit the couple things that were in the news.
What else you got?
Boston Scott lower body injury returns to practice. Boston Scott's a guy, if you're looking for a late running back to pick up, if anything happens to Miles Sanders, he's going to be the guy. Miles Sanders already a little banged
running
up.
back, not interested.
You might be surprised.
Pockets is Miles.
Dallas Goedert had a hairline fracture in his thumb, but he's back at practice.
That was an interesting one.
Again, I've got Ertz, so I was paying particular attention to that. But I
really
think if Goddard's not there, Ertz, you can bump up.
He's just cucking the Ertz owners all year.
Let's see. Josh Jacob wants to catch 60 passes, but all they've been doing is bringing in running backs that only catch the ball. All right.
I think really the biggest news is all those fake tests.
Looks like
false positives.
J.K. Dobbins is having some big plays in camp. He might be a guy that he's going a little bit later if you could grab him, and he could become.
Dobbins is going to be one of those things is if they don't mind paying Ingram and not playing him, Dobbins is going to be really good.
Or if Ingram gets hurt. Ingram's had some injuries. He's got a kind of a bruising running style. Dobbins is a guy that, if you had him on your bench and Ingram goes down, you're going to be in a good shape.
The problem is if they split the backfield and they each get 10 to 12 touches a game, they're both going to be unusable.
Miles is fine. I like Miles Sanders this year.
Jordan's injury prone. Drake's in a boot.
Drake in the boot. I'm just getting to the injuries. So Tyler Lockett sat out the final portion of Monday's practice. Looks like he was just icing his leg. No big deal. Not worried about that. Kenyon Drake, again, tweeted out that he's fine, but he was seen in a walking boot. Don't like that. I was taking him high. I like Kenyon Drake.
You don't like it, but
I'm concerned about walking boots.
I'm already scared to draft him in the first place. He's off my draft board.
Tyrell Williams, considered week to week after suffering a torn labrum. Nobody was probably drafting Tyrell Williams, but it was good for Brian Edwards.
Yep.
Rookie you got. Just kind of frees up, gives a little more opportunity. Saquon Barkley limps off after practice, off the practice field, but he returned, but it looks like he was taking it easy. You just, anytime one of those top guys gets any kind of injury, you're paying attention because you don't
Especially now.
This is Auden Tate, offensive MVP at Bengals camp. They must not be seeing Uzama just break out quite yet. Deontay Johnson with his leg, the Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver who was a rookie last year, misses his 5th straight practice Monday. You don't like that for a guy coming into year 2.
Yep, that's a lot.
Tyreek Hill, hamstring, participates in individual drills, but like minor hamstring thing.
He's
those
always got a
fast guys
hamstring
usually
thing.
those speedsters.
He's the fastest kid alive.
Mike Williams is one. A lot of people were really low on Mike Williams, so I kind of liked him as a value. I think that, if the Chargers can put it together at all, he'd be the second wide receiver on that team.
I don't know how you can have a value when
sprained his shoulder.
But they're going to throw for 2,500 yards.
Week to week.
There won't be a
If he's a red zone target, if he came away with 8 touchdowns, he's just, again, a good plug-and-play kind of guy.
Again, Keenan Allen actually at his current ADP. I don't mind Pockets asking. It doesn't excite me. I don't want to watch the Chargers football. I don't want to watch them. With Tyrod running it. I tell you what, with who they get, Herbert. They had Herbert, and he's actually just a very strange dude in Hard Knocks. But I tell you what, when he lets go of the football,
he can throw it.
Is nice.
Yeah, that could be good for a guy like Mike Williams.
He can launch the ball. I mean, that's going to be an interesting quarterback battle. I think Tyrod's going to get week 2 again.
Yep. The guy that Nick just traded away for a defense in Dynasty, Bryce Love, can be an every down back, according to Rivera.
Coach speak. Coach speak.
Jack Doyle, neck injury. So Trey Burton and I called it when they got rid of him. Like, Trey Burton's going to go somewhere and he's going to be good. He's going to be good. He's going to be way better than he was for the Bears.
Nobody plays well for the Bears.
So he's going to go to the Colts.
Unless we draft him.
They're going to coach him up. They're going to have Rivers, who loves to check it down, throw it to him. And I think Trey Burton could be a thing.
Trey Burton could be interesting. For like a late round flyer, I don't mind taking him.
And then this one says, James Washington, invaluable to the Steelers. So a lot of people have been rising on Deontay Johnson, the rookie from last year, who we just talked about, missed a bunch of time. James Washington, he's been there, and he's also shown flashes. So just keep an eye on him because he might be a guy that you can pick up off of waivers.
And I don't believe in Connor or that run game as much. I think they're going to have to throw the ball.
D.D. Westbrook, shoulder misses 2nd consecutive practice. We talked about D.D. not being that good.
We as a channel don't like D.D.
Not
a fan. Ebron in Pittsburgh.
And Njoku, who you got rid of, dealing with a wrist injury.
Ebron is kind of an anomaly too. I think him in Pittsburgh could actually be pretty interesting. I mean, the thing about Pittsburgh and the tight end situations, we need them to have one. We need to have one, and we need them to play a majority of snaps. And they just keep switching and not paying the position and just going with whatever's cheap. I don't like it.
All right, we got a couple in the chat. So one is,
how do you feel about Stephon Diggs?
Let's talk about Keenan Allen first. So Keenan Allen, I like. He's going low enough that if you can get the number 1 wide receiver on a team, Tyrod Taylor's not trash. He's played before. He's
kind of trash though.
But he's, as far as
wide receiver,
and then Herbert can air it
wide
out.
receiver side of
I think you might get some value out of him. Again, sometimes those quarterbacks that are less talented, they just find their one best guy and they lock onto him a little bit. And especially if Mike Williams is missing time, who else is he going to throw it to?
Yeah.
So I like him where he's going, and he's going where you can get him as your second wide receiver.
At the ADP, I don't mind
second or third even wide receiver, depending on where you're drafting.
Right. If you can flex Keenan, that's so much better.
I like him this year just because his value's fallen. Stephon Diggs. So he got Diggs.
I am just putting on a brave face. He
goes low though. So like if
he
is the guy, and if Allen uses his cannon and Diggs can track it down and catch those long balls, there's a world in which you see it and it's like, oh yeah, he's the number 1 wide receiver on a team with where the other guys don't
Right.
command targets.
If you would think if Cole Beasley can be almost fantasy relevant,
Different kinds of players
in a Bills uniform, you would think a good receiving target could have an opportunity.
Was it John Ross? Like, I think he was relevant. Then he got injured. Like, he could be more like that, the guy that goes down the field and gets the ball.
But that's not really Diggs is not necessarily the long shot.
Diggs, you can
burner.
throw long shots too. He's got a good range, like to catch the ball.
I think he's more
if Allen can throw it in the
catch.
area. I think he
for
can
sure
get it. You know,
for sure. And really, I think Allen's shown that he's not scared to let the ball go either. It'll be interesting. I think you'll be able to tell very early on if it's going to work or not.
Yeah, and Ebron, I think, is coming off double foot surgery. That's a minor concern.
Double foot surgery?
I think that's correct.
Like on each foot or two on one?
No,
A twofer?
Each foot.
Each foot.
He went in for one. They threw the second one in free.
It was a two
and
for
he's
one
had
deal?
some injury kinds of things. Those
2
big
for 1 deal
guys that
on
are
the
built
foot
like
surgeries.
him, it's hard to keep that.
Right.
So his foot situation is slightly better than AJ Green, I would say.
Foot situation.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But if he can go, Vance
my
McDonald
goodness.
underperformed last year. People were high on him.
Come to the
but-
fantasy
so they still
access.
got Vance.
Come to the fantasy access. See how your feet situations are across the NFL landscape. All right, what else we got?
Oh, let's see.
I still can't believe you had a whole page on CJ Uzama.
We got it here. Take a drink.
Can that?
I got
be
this.
a
I gotta get
thing?
this one in.
You
Or
just
that's
want to
not-
get
oh,
drops in now. It's an Arnie Palm.
Palmer alert! Arnold Palmer alert! Who wants some Arnie Palmies?
That's the point we're at in the show where I just got to get in all my drops and then we can
can
probably
close
call
it
it a
up.
wrap. Yeah.
Rager and Philly. So Pocket.
This is the way.
I don't know if you played Dynasty at all. So most of our time gets spent in our Dynasty league, I think, don't you? Most of my research is more Dynasty oriented.
I would say of all my leagues, that's the one I care about
try
the most.
And Rager,
And you're invested because you've got those guys and like you've
For
had
sure.
to make your trades.
Right.
And,
Rager is a guy that I avoided throughout the draft process. It turns out I would have taken him early anyway, and I didn't have to worry about it. But really, it makes sense because he's the only option. Jaws hasn't really shown to be too good.
Yeah.
Alshon can't stay on the field.
It looks very probable that Alshon Jeffrey will start on the pup, so he'll miss,
Right.
what is it, 8 games?
For like the 5th season in a row.
They've said Jaws has had some good camp, but I looked back, so I had an offer for J.J. Arcega-Whiteside or Arcega. It
Right.
just doesn't roll off the tongue.
Not quite.
But I looked into it, and I looked at his numbers, and I looked at kind of just how everything went for him last year, and he had opportunity, and he didn't perform. They said he had some little injuries. I looked at the rankings, like the expert consensus rankings. He wasn't even on like the
Right.
list of like draft value if you're making a trade. It was like 1 point for him. None of the experts are believing in JJ Arcega-Whiteside. Maybe he gets a little bit of hype bump, but after looking into him, I was like, okay, I don't want to make a trade for him.
I'm more interested in Ruggs.
Oh, not just
For Oakland.
pivoting from Philly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again,
Let me give you a quick Rager, though. Rager, a lot of people, when he was drafted, like a lot of experts really did like Rager. They liked his physical talent. He came from a bad team, so his box scores weren't great. They thought he was a little bit raw, but if they could develop him, I think he's going to get opportunity. I think he's probably one of the more talented wide receivers on that team.
But if you're talking redraft, I'm not taking him unless it's honestly pretty late.
Maybe with your last pick, or maybe you just keep an eye on him if he's on the waivers.
But if he's the guy, he could be.
And he might be a second half of season guy, too, where he
Right.
might get picked up at the start, not catch on right away, get dropped.
Yeah.
I've had that happen a lot of times in redraft leagues with people that aren't, they aren't following the podcast, they're
I
not
think-
addicted. If you can pick him up at like week 5 or 6 and then hold him for a 2
and
weeks,
honestly,
he might break out second half.
In our redraft league, since we do an auction draft, I think if you can get him super late for just $1, it's really not that bad.
Or if you're doing a startup dynasty, like,
Yeah.
he's going to be
He's
a guy you want in there.
it's a situation that most people are going to want to avoid. But if somebody's going to come out smelling like roses, it's probably Rager.
Some people have advocated for Jackson still being there and being good and bouncing back from his injuries.
can.
He's older, but he's still got pretty good speed. He's looked all right from
But he gets 3 targets a game.
the reports.
He's
But
inconsequential.
yeah, their worry is that he's going to play 3 games, have like one giant game, get hurt. So if he gets hurt, then
they can't keep drafting wide receivers and not throwing the ball.
that would be the other time to look to the waivers for Rager is if Deshaun gets hurt. Like, let's say it's 4 weeks in and he hasn't
Right.
produced and Deshaun goes down, I would probably look and try and grab him then.
But still, in redraft, I think you can get Ruggs at the same ADP, and I'd rather take Ruggs. Do you see this?
Do you think that the Denver offense is underrated this year. I think the potential is there, but I want to see them put it together.
I think they're going to be fantasy and unreliable.
So I think that their floor is the Cleveland Browns last year. I think that they've got all this talent, but their quarterback's not great. They can't quite put it together is like the floor. The ceiling, like what's their ceiling, you know? I think if Locke can be good, it all depends on the quarterback. If Drew Locke's good, they've got good wide receivers.
Give me Gordon. Give me Sutton. I'm waiting on the rest. Maybe
so what
Font.
I've been watching, I think Gordon had a minor injury. He returned to camp. I was looking at the tape today, just them practicing. Melvin Gordon, to me, looked smaller than he did last year. I don't know. That's just an eye test thing for me. You could look up the numbers, but again, he looked thinner. He looked smaller. Philip Lindsay is still there, who had 1,000 yards. It seems like they still like him. They haven't just been talking up like, oh yeah, it's just Melvin Gordon. I'd worry about that split. I think I'd probably take a chance on Melvin Gordon, but I don't know if I like him as high as he's going.
I think somebody's going to be a value. I'm just not sure who.
Yeah,
I still like
there's a lot of mouths to feed. So I think you could take a chance on Drew Lock as a quarterback. Like you could pick him up and maybe your second quarterback. We don't necessarily advocate holding to, but if you could get him in the first 2 games, they really are looking good. You might, I
don't see Sutton in much of a different light than I see like DJ Shark though. I mean, it's an up and coming, really good wide receiver. They still like to throw him the ball, and he can make a lot of great catches. Sutton's still pretty good, and again, if we didn't talk about him in the top 20, but he's got to be pretty close thereafter.
Also, where they're going as far as fantasy football and drafts, like they're not being underrated. I don't think. I think that where they're going is about where they should go.
On a whole,
yeah. On an unproven offense that has a lot of talent, a lot of potential.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry Jeudy is a guy that's going pretty late though, and he was, a lot of people had him as their one
wide receiver one.
Their one or two rookie wide receiver coming into this NFL draft, and I think he'll get a lot of targets quick because there wasn't a great number 2 wide receiver. It was Cortland Sutton and nobody.
Exactly.
And now I think Judy's going to go. So if you're looking for a rookie to break out and get volume, I think that he could really get a lot of passes thrown his way and probably get some touchdowns this year.
Alrighty.
All right, we'll end it there. Thank you, everyone. Again, we'll try and chop this up. We've got some old episodes that we're going to throw up on YouTube tonight. And, we got the Twitter. We got the Instagram that if you want to jump on, we've got a couple posts on there. We haven't really got them in full swing yet. We got
we'll get there.
A Facebook page, the Fantasy Addicts.
Check out the Why You Suck at Fantasy Football series.
Behind the scenes, if you're looking for pictures of Nick's belly button and toes, we'll throw those up there. You gotta
pay for that.
You gotta
pay for that. Thanks, Pocket, for hanging out. Thanks everybody else in chat. Appreciate the support.
Yep.
Don't forget to follow.
Appreciate chatting with you.
Comment, subscribe, all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Until next time. Thank you.